Good morning to Rail. Well, hello there. Good morning, word.
I love gay porn. I'm watching gay porn right now. I hate my job because I love gay porn.
I feel like you guys caught me while I was getting set up. How's Tabrea? How's Wordu? How you guys doing? Is everybody having a good morning? Still super early, right? Still super early. I guess it's not terribly early, but it's still kind of early, yeah. What is today? Today's Monday, right? So everybody's at work. Everybody's trying to get stuff done. Yeah, it's 7:07 a.m. for you. Yeah, I was like 2 minutes late. But, oh, man. I'm trying to avoid it, but I think it's becoming unavoidable. I think I'm going to have to take an additional day off. Probably this week.
Being a bitch.
Thank you, Wordu. It's feeling very unavoidable. I think I'm going to have to take an additional day off this week just to get caught up. Obviously the burnout hit, and the burnout hit during holidays and post holidays, right? Like trying to keep up a pace that was I mean, effectively working like 12 to 16 hours a day. And it got to the point where I just needed like, you know, a day where I would get off of work or I would get done streaming and I would just lay on the couch, just sheer burnout and depression. And I would do that for a couple hours and I would like slowly get behind on work. So I think that more than likely one day I'm going to have to take an additional day off this week just to get caught up, because like every day when I get off the stream right now, it's basically just like a rush to just make sure I have content put out the next day. Tomorrow will help that because tomorrow's an actual scheduled off day. So I can take tomorrow to try to, you know, power through like 2 or 3 YouTube videos, get a couple videos scheduled, get a couple videos scheduled out. But then what ends up happening is when I do that, that'll like cover me till like Friday. And then in the in-between time, I'll just spend some time like, dude, when Die comes out, you're going to take a week off. Are you actually going to, so are you going to be like one of the people that helps get the 30,000 concurrent on Steam then, Sonic? But I'm just like, I'm constantly behind and it's a struggle. We'll work on it, but I might have to take an extra day off to where I can just really get like my YouTube shorts and like go through, find clips, get clips going, get TikToks going, to where I'm not just like literally putting them out the day before, and get some tweets and stuff scheduled, and then use that to like maybe use that same day to like scour for some new YouTube channels that I can follow that might have some good content. Because like right now we're kind of in a content drought, and I don't know how much you guys know about YouTube. Woo days off. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have days off. It wouldn't hurt to have days off. It wouldn't hurt to have some days off, but I need to do them in a way that just lets me get caught back up. Yeah, well, one of the biggest issues I've had here recently is because we've been covering so much like news, politics, and like just whatever's been going on every day. A lot of those like clips, those YouTube shorts they can't be used for YouTube. YouTube Shorts has like a very aggressive algorithm, and if you talk about anything that is like slightly controversial, it won't put your short in the it will not put your short in the YouTube Shorts feed because of the way the Shorts feed works. So because like we talk about a lot of controversial things and I have strong opinions on things, basically a lot of those shorts are just not usable. You're spending some dweebs on Twitch. Do you finally have your internet and everything back up and running? Like, is everything going good? I know you've been like struggling to just have everything the way you need to have it, right? Get your internet back where you can sit at your PC and watch like 10 streams again at the same time. Still on mobile? So what have they, why have they said they're not able to get you your internet yet? I just don't understand why it's taking so long. Maybe it's only been like a couple days, but to me a couple days is forever, so. Yo, what up, Muse? So, it's definitely a thing though, right? So, we'll do what we've been doing. So, we'll read a couple of comments. Most of them are pretty worthless. We might not respond to all of them. I think we've only got like a couple new comments, so we'll deal with like a couple. We'll deal with like a couple comments. It seems like there's only a couple comments. Very clearly obstruction. What is going on here? Charter's convinced. We have internet already, but the wire is coiled up at the side of the house. Dude, that's messed up. You just watched your blocking roads video, dude. These people are crazy, aren't they, Muse? Been close to 3 weeks. I don't even know how you deal with that. Like, other than just force them to come out and look at it, right? Unfortunately, I have to... All right, so this one I'm going to look at really quick, and then we'll go back up and look at some other ones. So this one was, like, about the shooting. Obviously, it doesn't really matter. The video's old. Like, it's not going to get any more traction, but... I think she was emboldened to stand her ground. Using your vehicle to impede... Wait. I'm just so confused as what happened here. Using your vehicle to impede ICE's car is not disobeying law enforcement. It's very clearly obstruction. She was absolutely not afraid in that way. In any way. Had apparently circled the block 4 times to continually obstruct cars. Having driven 5 hours to the area, she was furiously angry. Yeah, I don't know if this person's trying to, like, argue with me to say I'm wrong or whatever, but... Alright, let's go up. Dude, the 3 weeks thing is wild. Is there no possible way you can force them to come out? Well, like, the problem is you have to deal with everything, what, through, like, text messages and, like, phone calls? You can't just, like, take pictures and be like, here it is, it's not hooked up. And you want to see other people killed? No, I don't want to see people killed. No, I don't. Legal orders from for blocking, obstructing, I'm gonna cancel. If you refresh, I'll see your comment. I'll have to check it out. At this point, I'm gonna have to outright cancel the service and start over. Man, so it's gonna be like 2 months out of like the 12-month lease that you just don't have internet. Don't advocate for blocking, obstructing, or assaulting them. This just like people are just so dumb. Do you know, I'm like, I know we cover this because it's news, right? Like, I know we cover this. I know we have to cover this because it's news, and it's like sort of like what the what's going on right now. Is it a problem that I'm actually starting to get very fatigued by this? And I'm not getting fatigued, right? So like, I'm not getting fatigued from like the coverage, or I'm not getting fatigued because of like what is happening. I'm getting fatigued by just the absolute dishonesty in the conversation. Like, I'm getting fatigued because you can't even engage with people or try to discuss it or try to put out counterpoints or try to even just ask questions, because there are people that are just actively being so dishonest that it hurts my brain. Right? Like, it absolutely hurts my brain. Yeah, keep an eye on. I've noticed a few bots. Oh, I'll show you some stuff. Like, my last 2 videos that came out didn't do very good because I messed up some titles and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to rejuvenate them or not, but I'll show you. Like, there are absolutely like people that are just going like either botting or just trying to like downvote topics so they don't have to see them. It's just like, it's so freaking infuriating, man. This one was good. I answered that. This conversation I'm done with. I'm not going to read the thread. It was about like safe spaces. So I don't like politics. It makes people crazy. It's just the absolute level of just suspending all reality and just arguing, right? Like here, I'll show you this conversation. I'll show you this conversation really quick, okay, guys? And you guys might care, might not care, but I'm gonna show you this conversation that happened. So I made a YouTube short, and in that YouTube short, we talked about safe spaces. And basically, I said that people that have safe spaces and engage in, like, you know, safe spaces, they're incapable of having conversations, right? They insulate themselves in safe spaces. Because they're in a safe space, if you are in it and you disagree with them, then they just force you out, right? It's like very fact of the matter. Like, nothing I said in there was not accurate, right? It was a statement of fact. So then I had somebody so I got into a disagreement. It was a slightly good conversation. But it was right here, and it said, "This is an incredibly naive take. Most people set boundaries because of conversations that have transpired." And I said, my take wasn't naive at all. I've seen it happen numerous times. People create safe spaces and say others are welcome to join, but as soon as you say something that makes someone uncomfortable, you're expelled from the safe space, right? It's safe and inclusive for people with the same viewpoints only. If this wasn't the case, then there would be no need to segregate people between safe and non-safe spaces. The entire premise falls apart when you think about it, right? Which is that safe spaces are allow for, like, open dialogue and conversation, because they don't, right? You put people in that space that agree with you, you push people out that disagree with you. That's the whole premise of the argument. And then he says, if you think about it, you're going to reach the conclusion you've already decided on. If you threaten the safety of a safe space, why would you expect to be allowed to stay, making the space no longer safe? Right? So, like, the argument here goes back to my point and proves my point. So I said, poster, I said, this proves my point that safe spaces, by their nature, are exclusionary. People should be able to have differing opinions and still coexist in the same space. Forcing separation de-incentivizes people to get along and creates an echo chamber that reinforces the group's ideas. So then the poster comes back and says, we all exist in the same space with differing opinions. Call it Earth, call it your city, call it your job, call it your school, whatever you want. A safe space is where one can retreat when they don't want to deal with certain things. You are correct that safe spaces are exclusionary. It's not a place where everyone can feel safe to say or think whatever they want. It's a place where the person who creates the safe space can feel safe. You are incorrect in the final thesis, and the part that I articulated as my argument, that they exist because people cannot have conversations. Safe space exists because of conversation. The boundaries are both set and reinforced by the conversation. I can have a conversation with you, find some of your points abjectly abhorrent, and choose not to allow you into my inner circle. What's wrong with that, right? But here's the problem. We are getting so far off of my original premise, and it has nothing to do with the conversation, right? So because I'm not going to respond again. And I said, I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree. You've already stated that you can have safe spaces, and that those spaces, by their nature, are exclusionary. They are created to protect the members of the group from conflict, thus ensuring they feel safe. They allow for conversations, but those conversations are with people that have been curated to ensure the conversations do not become uncomfortable. Again, this is to ensure the space is safe. I said my point was that the creation of these safe spaces prevent people from being able to have conversations. By insulating yourself around people that only have like views, you are never challenged. And if you are, you retreat to your safe space. Correct on my final assumption that you and I can have different, and then I said, you're correct on the final assumption. You and I can have wildly different viewpoints, and that you do not have to invite me into your created safe space. My point is that the safe space exists to control conversation. I would not be welcome because some of my viewpoints would challenge members' notions. And rather than converse and engage, they would rather self-insulate. So the whole premise here is that you cannot have conversations. And the point has been proven numerous times throughout this conversation. So either way, it was a great thought exercise. Appreciate your perspective, blah, blah, blah. And then here he goes. Again, they don't prevent people from having conversations. They give people a place where they don't have to have them at their discretion. You're making it as if someone having a safe space prevents them from interacting in other places in life. We all self-insulate. We all set boundaries. And issues arise when they're not respected. You see what I mean? Like the premise of the conversation and everything, this is an argument that is like going nowhere because of a lack of being able to agree on facts. And I don't think that I was off base on anything that I said. I think everything I said was actually factually accurate, and I think that I was right. I think that I was right. But then again, when don't I think I was right? So when don't I think I was right? So we're gonna watch this. Let's organize some of this. We're gonna watch this. This is like protesters. This is somebody that is really got some pretty serious mental problems. To somebody. We need more scared but not afraid, Shannon. It's just like some of these people, man, I don't understand, right? Like I don't understand. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm the weird one, right? Like maybe I'm the weird one, and maybe I just misunderstand some things, but I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm pretty even kiltered, and I try to like think through things and you know, try to think that way. But where's woman arrested in the UK? Oh shit! Crash out. Oh dude, have you not seen that video? The video's so good. The video's so good. Oh, wait till you see it. This video's so good. That video's so good. I can't even express how good it is. This one kind of is a thing. I should have had these organized earlier, but you know, sometimes you just can't. I had these organized earlier, but we'll go through that. This should give us a pretty good thing. All right, Rippa, I'll show you the video. We're not going to talk about it yet, but I'll show you the video, okay? I'll show you the video for now. We'll talk about it later, but I'll give you a preview of the crash out, okay?
Well, she wasn't sorry when she cut in line.
Fuck
Then
you!
screamed
I didn't see you!
to make it. Well, I just asked her if she saw anyone in line.
Just fucking leave! Just go!
That's an
leave.
adult.
You're making it loud!
Let's just walk up
I'm
to
just
her.
talking.
Walk up to her. Walk with Chris. Walk with Chris.
Just to calm everything down.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
To make it. Well, I just asked her if she saw anyone in line.
Just fucking leave! Just go!
That's an
leave.
adult.
You're making it loud!
Let's just walk up
I'm
to
just
her.
talking.
Walk up to her. Walk with Chris. Walk with Chris.
I'm only laughing because she got a day pass from the asylum and she doesn't have anybody there to like babysit her. We'll talk about this later. Why isn't she in a mental hospital? We'll talk about this later. Because there are going to be some people that will disagree with me, and there might be some people even in the community that get a little offended. But at the end of the day, this is not how a rational adult acts, number one. What up, Thebe? And number two, like, when you see this whole clip, there's just like, there's a level of just performativeness. There's a level of, I don't even know how I want to say it. Basically, people that are this incapable of just dealing with simple disagreements, simple misunderstandings, or just the fact that things cannot go your way, and you don't get to escalate them to just like a screaming, crying bitch fit. These are the same type of people that are going to leave from here and go out and start blocking people's cars in, right? Like, this is just the whole thing here. I'm pretty sure if I did this as a 4-year-old, I'd have got my ass. Oh, it's definitely a level of entitlement. Oh, could you imagine? Like, I don't know how old you are, Huggy. If I would have done this in a fucking store as a kid, I would have been drug out this door and had my ass busted in the car. Like, just the level of entitlement here. The complete and utter disregard for everybody around you. The complete inability to read a situation or like understand or read a room. The inability to deal with conflict and conflict resolution. And I'm assuming that this is where things will get interesting, because I'll have a conversation, I'll talk about this, and then somebody will get mad and they'll be like, well, she's got a backpack, she's got a mask on, she's probably on the spectrum, she's probably slightly autistic, you know, this person invaded her safe space, blah, blah, blah. Dude, if you are this fucked up, then you are not capable of sort of like functioning in your day-to-day life alone. You need a chaperone. You need to have somebody there with you, or you need to not be allowed to be in public by yourself. Right? We'll deal with that later. Give it to daddy. What up, Night Owl? It's just like you don't get to act like that. You don't get to just like fucking go from 0 to fucking massive escalation.
Let me make this clear.
You don't get to do that. It's so insane, and I can't believe that we allow it in society. Because I'll show you the clip, and what ends up happening is the guy is forced to walk away. Not the woman who is creating an abject scene in the middle of Walmart. She is not asked to leave the store. She's protected, and the guy that's standing there is asked to leave. Like, he is the one, because he is the responsible, rational, and reasonable adult. He is the one that is asked to leave to de-escalate the situation, because you have to treat her with kid gloves. Actually, let me go get some more coffee before we get started. It's so infuriating on so many levels. All right, let's do. All right, ready? All right, so this is the first one I want to talk about. I saw this last night, but obviously I couldn't deal with it last night. I think that what is getting ready to happen is so right now there's a big push in a couple of these states that have immigrations and customs enforcement like kicking off operations. Some of these states are actively like withholding their police from helping immigrations and customs enforcement. And in doing so, it's putting immigrations and customs enforcement agents in harm's way. They don't have any police support. They don't have anybody there to help manage the scene, monitor the scene, find out if they're right, find out if they're wrong. They're not there. Well, it's getting pretty out of control. And there are a lot of police chiefs that have come out and said they're not going to help. But now we're starting to have police chiefs come out and say that they will. And these are in major cities. And they're speaking up and they're saying what we all know, but nobody else has been able to say. And I think this is something that a lot of these road warrior like activists needs to understand. They are putting themselves in harm's way doing what they're doing. This police chief explains it better than anybody, and I think he has the most authority to explain it. So we're going to watch the video, we're going to talk about the video, we're going to break down the video, and honestly, hopefully people pay attention, because the videos and stuff I'm going to show you today, later on today, show that the entire conversation is getting even more heated, and I think we're going to come up to a point where this tinderbox is going to explode, and it is not going to be good when it happens. So we're gonna watch what this cop says. This guy is who is this? Does it have his name? I was hoping they'd have his name. Yeah. Where is it? Chief of Chicago. Doesn't have his name. Doesn't have his name, but this is a really good speech.
Federal agents, let me make this clear. Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed.
Number one, that is a massive point. And if you've watched our videos, the other videos that we've done, I was explaining how this is not a good thing to be happening, and that these civilians are not understanding that they are in fact presenting themselves as a very real threat to the law enforcement officers by doing this.
And that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions.
And that right there is where I think people are not trained or understand the fact of the matter. If you block a law enforcement car in the front and the back, it is very reasonable for them to assume that you are planning on ambushing them. And it is also going to be very reasonable for them to exit the car in a very aggressive position and misunderstand any movements you're making in your car or you going for a weapon. This will not end good for people that are not realistically thinking logically about the implications of their actions. Even with people doing the threat or nonviolent, it doesn't mean a violent person won't take advantage of the situation. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure ICE deals with a lot of gangs and cartels to their targets. Absolutely. If you're driving, you stop, you have a car pull up behind you, and then one pull in front of you, and you are not able to move your car, that is in every major action movie ever made. And then people open the door and they start firing. So if you're a cop and you see something happen, and you're trained to understand that that could be a sign of aggression, you stop, these people don't get out of their cars, they start moving around and rustling around in their cars. It is entirely reasonable for you to assume that they could be going for a weapon, and in that moment, one of the two of you is going home, and you're going to ensure it's you. And these entitled liberals that are out here just thinking they can do whatever they want without impunity are going to find themselves in a situation that they're not trained for, and they will get hurt. What makes it worse, there's a lot of states that have open carry laws, which could start a firefight. This could go so bad, so fast, Night Owl.
Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that.
Also, I'm going to jump in. I hate to double pause here. I've been seeing more and more clips of people fucking around and finding out because they've been doing this to ICE, and now they are being more emboldened to do this to actual law enforcement because they are not drawing a distinction between who is wearing the badge or what vest they're wearing. And these people are finding out that regular law enforcement is not taking as kindly to it as ICE has been.
And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them.
That's absolutely true. If you are actively following these people around, it is fair for a reasonable person to infer nefarious acts will be perpetrated towards them in the future. Now, you can say that that's not, you can say that that's hyperbolic, you can say that no reasonable person would assume that, but then why are you following these people around? You're following them around with the express intent of disrupting their operations. You're blowing whistles. You're trying to warn people that they're coming. You are now actively blocking them, actively barricading them in. You're actively standing in front of their vehicles. You're encroaching upon their hula hoops of safety openly and brazenly. What is to stop one or two people from going beyond that line? Because every sort of norm that we have has been pushed further and further and further. So it is not impossible for these people to believe it. And it's not impossible for these people to actively find themselves concerned and fearful of what the other people are going to do.
If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death.
Why? The worst part here is why is this not common sense? Like, the funny part is he has to explain this because people are just ignoring it. In what world is it not common sense that if you ram into a law enforcement vehicle's or a law enforcement officer's vehicle or anybody's car with your car, that it is not seen as deadly force?
When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you. We need to be clear about these laws. We cannot become a society where we just decide to take everything in our own hands and start to commit crimes against law enforcement. It is a crime.
And I think that when it comes to citizens, it's very hard to sort of like arrest every citizen who is like propagating false narratives because they might just be misinformed. But I think that pundits, I think that politicians, I think that news personalities who are actively pushing narratives or obfuscating or blurring the lines or using colorful language to try to change the meaning or in somehow make you believe that something is allowed that's not allowed, they should 100% be held to account and they should be prosecuted. I don't think your average Joe that like posts something on Twitter saying you can do it should be in trouble. But I do think if a politician's up there saying this is illegal, you're within your rights to do this, they should be held accountable. 100%, no questions asked. I don't know the percent, but people do not have common sense. Oh, absolutely. This is from an article on ABC. The federal agency alleges cartels are offering $2,000 for intelligence gathering and doxing of agents, $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or non-lethal assault on standard ICE, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials. The hard part there is, Steve, I believe it's happening, but it's such a hard thing to prove. But I mean, let's see if we can find it. Do you have a link to it or anything? Do you have like a link to the article or anything like that that you can share? If not, I'll try to look it up. But if you have a link to it, I'll pull it up. Oh, it's an old article, but it's an October 2025 article. It's an old article, October, November, December, January. It's a 3-month-old article, but I don't think it. I'll pull this over. I'll just preface it. Before I say anything. So I'll just preface it by saying it's an old article. Honestly, the number seems low. It might be. But to Thebes' point, and this article is a few months old, but you have to remember that just because the article is a few months old doesn't mean that the intelligence isn't any less valid, right? So basically, ABC News had already reported that cartels are issuing bounties for hits on ICE agents, Department of Homeland Security, and everybody else. So these agents are already on high alert, right? And they're looking for kidnappings, everything else. You can read through this article on your own, just look it up. But basically, the cartels are seemingly trying to pay to get these people arrested, hits, get their names, dox them. So it is not unreasonable for any individual ICE agent to believe that people that are trying to box them in might be trying to kidnap them or hurt them. Right? It's not impossible for people to believe that. These chronically online, road warrior, like crazy Karen liberals aren't thinking about the impact of what they're doing or the implications of it. They are just trying to feel good about themselves by doing what they believe. They're just trying to feel good about themselves by doing what they believe is, helping other people. It's all about making themselves. All right, I don't want to do this. At the end of the day, these people who are obstructing these officers are not thinking about the repercussions or the ramifications of what they're doing. And these officers have had real world situations and real threats against them. And when you're trying to decide in the heat of the moment what is a threat and what's not, the line blurs quite bad. Yeah, that's why you mentioned it. Whether you agree with what ICE are doing or interfering with them puts you at risk. No, and I think it was a good article to bring up. Because I do think at the end of the day, you are putting yourself at risk and you don't even know it.
You may not like what they're doing. I can understand that there's a lot of emotions out there, but that does not mean that you get to commit a crime, especially one that could lead to deadly force. We need to keep everyone safe. Our responsibilities when it comes to federal agents, and I've been asked these questions, we do not interfere with the duties and responsibilities of federal agents.
I mean, in that right there, this man right here said everything the best as possible. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it, but you have to understand what is going on. You have to understand the laws, rules, and regulations around it. You have to understand the legal implications, and you have to understand that you are putting yourself at risk by doing these things. In your world, you think you're just trying to help some poor undocumented immigrant by alerting them that ICE is coming, and you're trying to do your goodwill deed for the day. The problem is what you're doing, the way you're doing it, and how you're going about it can 1,000,000% be perceived as a threat by these law enforcement officers, because you just see yourself as some soccer mom. But this agent has to distinguish you, some soccer mom, from you, somebody who is trying to actively get them killed or blocked. And those people can look just like a soccer mom. So it is not unreasonable for these officers to act and behave in this way. And the logic that you use to defend this completely falls apart if you take 3 seconds to think about it. But the problem is, some of these people are not using logic. They're just using emotion. They're doing whatever they want, and they're saying to hell with the consequences. And then when consequences show up, then they go online and bitch and complain about it. And that is the world we live in right now. And that is why I'm getting so mad about this entire situation. It is so infuriating to watch people just say and do whatever they want, and logic be damned. Yeah, well, I mean, why wouldn't you? If you can, like, so $2,000 for intelligence gathering and doxing of agents. $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or non-lethal assault. So if you were to clip a law enforcement officer with your car and then get out of there and get away with it, you could make up to 10 grand. I'm sure people are trying to do that. Most states literally have laws that law enforcement cannot impede federal agents. It wouldn't make sense that you could impede federal agents. It's just like, I don't know, man. I saw this man's video last night and I was like, dude, it's good to finally see one cop that's not coming out and just saying that basically this is like such a stark contrast to what like the chief of Minneapolis is saying.
Let me make this clear.
Like the chief of Minneapolis is like, we're not working with them. What they're doing is illegal. This is terrible. This is an overreach. This is government overreach. We don't have to listen. We don't have to comply. Dude, people saying that is what's causing people to just go out and get themselves hurt, right? And then things like this. We'll look at this. We'll look at this.
It was blocking the road. They are claiming this is an act of terrorism.
Yeah, Renee Nicole Good, as you hear her...
It was blocking the road.
Conversations like this, where like facts are obfuscated or intentionally obscured, this is where I think you borderline on people that are in power need to be held to account, because it is impossible that you do not know what you're doing here, because you are trying to steer a narrative by controlling a message, and you're not lying, and it maybe in some cases you are, but you are trying to blur the line between fact and fiction in a way that is advantageous to your narrative, right?
It was blocking the road. They are claiming this is an act of terrorism.
Yeah, Renee Nicole Good, as you hear her say, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car.
Right here, this right here. So they're saying that law enforcement is saying that she's blocking the road, and that is an act of domestic terrorism. So instead of discussing that point, the first thing Ilhan Omar is doing is saying, hey, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car. She's having a good time. She's not mad at anybody. That doesn't change the fact of the matter. And the fact of the matter is that she was blocking the road to intentionally try to stop law enforcement from doing their job, right?
Peacefully waving cars to get by.
You are so, and this is another one where it's like a level of emotional manipulation. She is peacefully blocking the road and waving cars by. Unless it's law enforcement, right?
This agent, as you see, gets out of his car, automatically starts running towards her, trying to open her door. She feels scared.
And this is so dishonest, because you can go see all of the facts that are being left out to drive this narrative. The fact that she drove hours to get there, the fact that she followed them around, the fact that she was parked in the road for 3 minutes, the fact that she was dancing and laughing and joking because she was having fun obstructing law enforcement, right? All of these things are being left out, and all you're hearing is the flashpoint, which is that law enforcement showed up and tried to detain her. And because law enforcement showed up and tried to detain her, now law enforcement is doing something wrong.
Tries to turn the wheel away, and then you see the other officer, who can clearly see the car is moving, move towards the front of the car.
This right here is a lie. This right here is an outright lie. The law enforcement officer was already walking around the vehicle before the vehicle ever went forward, right? He didn't jump in front of the car. And when you are being detained and somebody is in front of your car, like a law enforcement officer, you do not have the right to drive at them, right? Like to drive at them, to try to hit them, to drive in their direction and then hope that they get out of the way. You don't have the right to do this.
Car, which if they are saying that he has 10 years on service and is trained, he should know that you shouldn't be trying to get in front of a moving car.
And then right here, and she takes all the accountability from the person who was actively breaking the law and then shifts it to the person who was enforcing the law and then pushes all the blame on that person, right? This is just intellectual dishonesty 101, because whatever she's saying does not match what the video footage shows. And it is clear that this is intentional misrepresentation. And because of that, you should be in trouble. Because you are not interpreting things. You are clearly misrepresenting things. It's a huge difference.
So it is,
in my view,
not acceptable for Kristi Noem and the president and the vice president to make these kind of judgments without there being a full investigation, even though we can see in the videos that have been produced so far that what they are describing is really not what is taking place. And so if there's...
And the funny part here is that two different people can view this footage and come away with very, very clear definitions on what what is the fact. Like, there are people that are just misunderstanding the facts, not the legal implications, not did he overreach, not should he have not fired, none of that. Like maybe he was triggered, none of that. People are literally watching the video and making up their own facts. And start blocking the cars from getting ICE agents. Can we be pieces of shit as well? Yeah. I don't know why no one is explaining the news, what being detained means. I don't understand. There's like, it's so infuriating. These people cannot make assumptions based on the video, but I can. It's one of those things, Call and Huggy, where if you try to pull all the politics out of this and just look at the facts that happened in the moment, it drives one clear narrative, which is that a woman was blocking traffic. Police showed up to detain her, and she decided to flee and hit an officer that was in the road. That officer, seeing a vehicle coming at him, decided that that was a use of deadly force in the moment. That's what he felt, and he discharged his firearm. You can have laws and lawyers come back and determine if it was legal for him to do that, but you cannot dispute the facts that happened. And the problem is, and why I'm getting so mad about this, and why I'm trying to like not talk about it all the time, but why every morning and every night when I get on Twitter and I'm trying to find stuff to talk about the next day, why I'm getting so mad and why I keep talking about it, is because it is just blatantly dishonest. People are actively lying. People who are in power are lying. And nobody is getting in trouble for it. And I am getting so fucking mad because it's not about politics or left versus right on this. People can't even look at a video and just look at what happened and go, yes, 2 + 2 = 4. Now, we can argue what color the 4 should be shaded in, but the number is 4. And that is what's making me so fucking mad. And I'll show you here in a little bit. There are some other videos where there are very, very, very deceptive edits going on online where people are editing videos in a way to try to make somebody look bad. Like here, I'll show you this one. This video right here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Where is it? I have the video. Give me a second. I have the video. I have the video. It might be in my likes. Give me a second. It might be in my likes. It's that video right there. Do I have it up? All right. This video right here. This video right here is a prime example of it. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead just a little bit. You can clearly see over here that the light is yellow, right? It's not red. This light is fucking yellow, okay? That light is yellow. These vehicles are stopped. They are stopped, which means this is the proper flow of traffic, right? That is the proper flow of traffic. This is the video. ICE now ramming civilian cars through red lights in Minnesota. This video is taken in a way, right, that shows the point of impact where the ICE vehicle, the proposed ICE vehicle right here, is pushing a vehicle out of the road in front of it. You can clearly see that this car has its flashers on. There is a green light. This car has its flashers on. This car is actively trying to stop this ICE officer from doing his job. Right? And this car has probably been following him around. And I would assume that because there is somebody right here that is filming it. So the person right here has probably been following this car around doing this civil disobedience, right? And has been filming it because they've been waiting for this moment to happen so they can film it. You can tell that the angle makes the ICE officer look bad. It does not show the lights. It intentionally does not show the lights. It is filmed grabbing way more ground than it needs to because they don't want to accidentally show that the cars over here are stopped and it's not incoming traffic, right? And there is no audio. There's no audio here, right? There's no audio to hear like freaking tires. You can see it looks like these tires aren't spinning, which to me means that that car is in park. It doesn't look like the tires are spinning. It's hard to tell because the quality is so shoddy. It looks like this vehicle is literally in park during a green light, and this officer or this vehicle is pushing it out of the way because they are literally blocking them. So you can't hear the tires screeching. You can't hear anything happening. You can't hear anybody shouting. You can't hear any horns. You can't hear any honking. Right? This is designed to drive a narrative. But everything here shows that this was not being pushed through a red light, right? And you can even see, like, when he tries to move, you can see that it takes him a second because he lets off and then he has to hit gas to even push this car because it's in park. And this is the part that's so infuriating. You see videos like this. You see videos like the lady getting shot. All of these videos are edited in a way that you're only seeing the flashpoint and you're not seeing everything that led up to it. And the goal is to make you mad about the video that you're seeing. This is my number one rule of thumb when it comes to seeing things on the internet, okay? Number one rule of thumb is what I'm seeing enforcing my viewpoint. Number one, if it is, am I being biased? And if I feel like I'm not being biased, am I seeing the full picture? And if you are seeing the aftermaths or the exact impact situations and not any of the time coming up before it, assume that you are being led by your nose to a conclusion that is either in favor of your viewpoint or against it, and you are not getting the whole picture. That's just plain as day, right?
Saying that we shouldn't believe our eyes, then let the investigation take place before believe our eyes. What they are describing is really not what is taking place. And so if they're saying that we shouldn't believe our eyes, then let the investigation take place before
it was blocking the road
taking place.
And then right here at the end, she's like, they're saying we shouldn't believe our eyes. No, everybody has watched the footage. everybody has seen the footage in all of these videos. And it's not that the other side is telling you not to believe their eyes. It's you and your side that's saying don't believe your eyes and don't believe that enforcing the laws is the right proper like course of action here, right? Portrait videos can never be taken with a grain of salt because it doesn't show everything. Yeah, and it's portrait instead of landscape. Fucking monsters. If you did landscape, then you would have been able to clearly see what was going on. But my whole takeaway from this is if you are a news pundit, if you are a commentator, or you are an elected official, and you are using colorful or creative language to stoke divisiveness or divisionism, or you are actively misrepresenting facts like this, then you should be held accountable for everything that happens because of your misrepresentation of facts. That is my view on it. You guys got to let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think that it's okay because it's covered under free speech to just say whatever you want? Or do you think there is a level of accountability for people who are in power and hold influence to be held to account for what they're saying and doing, because they are not being held accountable or responsible for the things that are happening because of their rhetoric? Can we start from that Tim Walz is still a free man? I mean, that's a whole nother fucking problem, right? But I'm a big fan of letting law do its job, right? Like, let law do its job. Let the courts do their job. Right? Like, let the investigations proceed. Let all the facts come out, because, again, I know that news and news media outlets try to drive a narrative on both sides, right? And I don't like being manipulated. Like, some people seem to really love being manipulated. I actually don't like being manipulated. I fucking hate it. So because of that, like, I don't want to be manipulated. So I just want the facts to come out and then hold people accountable. That's all I want, man. So I think that there are a lot of things happening right now where we need to have the facts out. We need to have the facts out. And it's just not happening. What do we got here? These are ones like, yeah, we'll go through a couple more of these things here. Breaking news, CNN Jake Tapper tries to spin a story saying that the ICE agents in Minneapolis was not defending himself. So this is just kind of like a back and forth on what happened. So let's see what they actually say.
With certainty, they were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and rammed them with her vehicle. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened.
It absolutely is what happened. Those officers had been out on enforcement action. A vehicle had been stuck. They had come to help get that vehicle out. That's when this individual started blocking traffic for minutes and minutes.
You said that the woman attacked them and surrounded them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
Blocked the road for a long time and was yelling at them and impeding a federal law enforcement investigation. And that's what you need to focus on, Jake, is they were breaking the law by impeding and obstructing a law enforcement operation. They were breaking the law already, and these officers were doing their due diligence and what their training had prepared them to do to make sure they were handling it appropriately.
You said within hours of her being killed, you said that she was a domestic terrorist. How do you define domestic terrorist?
She weaponized her vehicle to conduct an act of violence against a law enforcement officer and the public. They are doing that.
How can you assert with certainty that she was trying to hurt the officer as opposed to she was trying to flee the scene?
This right here is a intentional misdirection in a way that is so disingenuous, because intent in this case doesn't trump action, right? in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the law, ignorance of a crime does not give you permission to do it, right? So if you stole from a store, right? You're just like, grabbed a TV, I want a TV, I walk out the front door with the TV. And then the cops show up and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You just stole a TV. And you're like, no, I didn't. I liberated the TV from the oppression that was Target. And the cops are like, it doesn't work that way, man. You don't get to just liberate TVs from the oppression of Target. It doesn't work that way. You just committed a crime. You just shoplifted. The guy's like, no, I didn't. This is what I did. The guy's still going to get in trouble for shoplifting, even if he feigns complete ignorance on knowing that it was shoplifting, because he still broke the fucking law. Ignorance of the law does not give you permission to break the law. We were all taught that our entire life. I don't understand why people have just forgot that works that way. I say let the investigation go forward with the full cooperation of the federal law enforcement. Let the jury decide. Here's what I'll say about that, Face. I will say that this is what I'll say, and you can feel free to disagree with me. I think that pundits and politicians should stop trying to use it as a political football. Free the TV, exactly. I think pundits and politicians should stop trying to use this as a political football. I think that anybody caught misrepresenting the facts on TV should be in trouble. Because there's a difference between putting political spin on it and changing the facts. The facts are the facts. You don't get to change the facts. We don't get to make up facts. I think there absolutely 1,000,000% should be an investigation. And I think that if the law enforcement officer is found to have broken the law or acted in bad faith, that they should be suspended or fired or charged for manslaughter or whatever it is. I'll agree 100% on that. What I'm going to say is I disagree that they should help. They should help any sort of local law investigation. I 100% do not believe that they should be complying with local law enforcement at all right now. And the reason I say that, and this is where you can disagree with me, and that is perfectly fine. The reason I say that is because local law enforcement has refused to help federal agents throughout this entire process. They have been obstructionary. They have refused to help. They've refused to show up. They've refused to provide protection. They have refused to help enforce federal law. And they have, for the most part, wiped their hands of the situation and said, get fucked. I don't care what happens to you. I'm not going to help you. Okay? If you take that stance, sure, you're going to lose federal funding. You're going to do all these other things. But you do not then, as a federal or as a state, as the state, you don't get to show up after the fact and go, excuse me, hey, over here. Yeah, send me some information. Like, help me figure out what's going on. You forfeit that right as soon as you elected not to help federal officials. So I'll agree that everything else is right, but I do not agree that federal has a requirement to help state if state doesn't have a requirement to help federal. That's my view on it. We can agree, like, you know what I mean? If you disagree with me, that's fine. But I think that my stance is perfectly valid because state refused to provide any sort or cover to federal whatsoever. And state, in a lot of these cases, by then your rules, local should never help the FBI. No. That is not what I said. That's not what I said. I said, if you are the state and you are actively hostile to the federal, you refuse to help the federal enforce any of the rules or laws, you actively stay away from them and you demonize them. And you refuse to cooperate. And then something bad happens, they are not required to cooperate with you. That is very different than saying, by my rules, locals should never help the FBI. Those are not even, like, that's not even similar to what I said. Now, if the FBI shows up unannounced, is not invited, refusing to help is not being uncooperative, how is it not? How is refusing to help not being uncooperative? Before we go back to this, like, let's not get confused, because you're going to get me arguing about a bunch of different things and it's not going to make the argument work. Because I'm not going to talk about the FBI and how the FBI interacts with local law enforcement, because the FBI has to be invited in, and the FBI doesn't just show up and start conducting operations. That's not how it works. We're talking about this specific situation. And in this specific situation, what I said is factually accurate. And refusing to help is being uncooperative. Refusing to help somebody is not cooperating. Point blank. If I ask you for help and you don't help me and then you refuse, you are not cooperating. Does ICE need bodyguards? ICE does not have the jurisdiction to enforce state and local laws. Can we agree? Can we agree that ICE does not have the jurisdiction to enforce state and local laws? Okay, so they do not have jurisdiction to enforce state and local laws. So they can go out and they can enforce federal immigration laws, which means they can arrest and detain people who have overstayed their visas, not even people who have entered the country illegally, who have broken federal crime. They have the right to do that, right? We can agree to that. If you entered this country illegally, you have broken a federal law, you can be detained and deported. Okay. So we've agreed on that. So these law enforcement officers have the right to go to Minnesota and to drive around and to pick people up. That's all above bar. They have the legal right to do that. And civilians have the right to peacefully protest. They can stand there, they can yell, they can argue, they can call them bad names, they can blow whistles, as long as they themselves are not breaking state or local law. They have every right to do that. All of that is accurate. True. Okay. Now, we have people that are documented that are actively breaking state and local laws to interfere with these investigations. We have people invading officer space. We have people blocking cars. We have people actively blocking the road, right? There are 100% state and local laws. There are intent to obstruct. There is harboring. Yeah. So you have people who are driving around who have the sole intention of interfering, obstructing, or interacting with these law enforcement officers. Whether it's blocking the road, alerting people that they're coming, all of these other things. Those are happening. Like, we can't say they're not, right? We have to follow the logic here. People are actively doing these things, and they are actively breaking state and local laws. Okay. Federal agents can't do anything about it. They can't ask them to stop. They can't do anything. So they need support from state and locals to ensure that their operation goes off without a hitch. It's not that they need bodyguards. They need people to actively help them do their duty because there are people who are actively resisting or impeding them from doing it. Nope. You're deflecting. That's not what I'm saying. You have people who are documented to be preventing them from doing their job. They need people to prevent that from happening. They need people to enforce the law because there are people who are actively breaking the law to prevent them from doing what they're doing. That is why they need them there. If that wasn't happening, then they wouldn't need them. You could even go one step further and say that it is also there as a level of oversight to ensure that civilians are not being having their civil liberties or their civil liberties stepped on by federal agents in that state. Those are all accurate. That is why those cops need to be there. If you refuse to provide them, common sense is a rare trait. If you and your state refuse to provide that, then who's patrolling the streets if the cops are only with the eyes? This is, again, what I'm saying. Tell me what I'm saying is wrong. Because what I'm saying is not wrong. And by that logic, if you refuse to help, then do not expect them to help with you later on. Nothing you're saying is wrong. It's just common sense. There's a lack of resources for what you're saying. You wouldn't need it. Here's the issue. You would not have to worry about that if pundits, politicians, activists, and advocates online were not screaming it into their mic, telling people that this is unlawful, that this is illegal, and it's your civic duty to go out and obstruct justice. And I think that if you had state and local there, and you started locking people up for doing these things, you would have way less of it and you wouldn't need as much support. Also, you could coordinate between state and local onto what was happening, when it was happening, and what law enforcement activities were taking place. And because of that, you could coordinate the appropriate amount of resources, and you could ensure that the public was not put at risk because of this law enforcement activity. You could absolutely coordinate to ensure that you had proper coverage for Minnesota while still providing support to these agents. But because state and local are refusing to help, you are creating a situation that is 10 times worse. All of this falls apart if you apply any logic to the conversation, like any logic to the argument. And if you were cooperating, this is just an assumption. I'm assuming that if you were cooperating and you came out as the Minnesota chief of police and said, hey, we would love to support federal immigration in the state, but unfortunately, our budget and our police force is taxed. We do not have enough personnel to help with this and provide adequate coverage to the citizens of Minnesota. We would love to help federal troops, but we do not have the funding for it.
Well, hello there.
If you said that, then that puts the onus back on the federal government to provide funding to cover those shortfalls. Because there are ways you can do this that are responsible. but there is a lack of responsibility going on. ICE is still a topic. I can't help it, Hoffmeister. So unfortunately, I just don't see how any argument stands up when you put it under any level of scrutiny. In face, if you and I disagree, then we disagree. I disagree with Toxic all the time. He's a longtime friend of mine and an awesome community member. We just have to disagree sometimes. But from my perspective, all of this makes sense if you just put it under a microscope. So that's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. I know. I'm all right with disagreeing, yeah. But I think it's a good conversation because I think that it makes me have to think about what I'm saying. So I can't just come out here and like spout nonsense without giving it more than 1 second's worth of a thought, right? What up, Prince? Because it's Sonic, you do need to play Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, by the way. Because there are so many people that online just say whatever they want to say, and it doesn't make any sense. Right? You got your coffee, you gotta get more coffee. But there are just so many people online right now that are just saying whatever they want to say, and it doesn't make any sense. And when you press them on it, they can't use logic to reason out what they're saying. And a lot of times people deflect. Like a lot of times people will deflect because it's much easier to deflect than it is to like really stand on, like, argue one point. So that's why, like, when it comes to me, I just want to try to, like, this is where I stand. These are the facts. These are the facts of the matter. If we can all agree on the facts, then we can discuss it in good faith. But if we can't even agree to basic facts, then there's not even a possibility for us to have a conversation. Because, you know, like what's happening over in UK right now, right? Like the UK, a bunch of people are getting arrested for protesting. A bunch of people are getting arrested for free speech. But they're getting ready to have all of their text messages being able to be read. I'm not okay with that. And I don't want to see the United States become some sort of totalitarian state. So I'm not advocating for, you know what I mean, like a totalitarian military run state. But I am willing to look at things and discuss them from the point that is like, what is actually happening. The only thing these people do is name call or deflect because they have no working brain. I've seen some pretty extreme cases. I don't think that's face, but I've seen some pretty extreme cases online, right? I think that for the most part, the community that we fostered here on Twitch, we've got people that have followed my channel for years, right? They've followed my channel for years. They love banter. They love talking. They love disagreements. They love arguments. We've always disagreed and argued about tons of things, right? That's just like been the basis of my channel, right? My channel has always been a just chatting channel where I played games. But now I've switched it over to being more just chatting focused. And I think that there are some people who want to find an avenue to, they want to find an avenue to be able to talk to somebody with different viewpoints without it like devolving into just a screaming bitch fit, right? You see what I mean? The main thing that angers you is that Vance is now saying he will go door to door, which is a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment. I will tell you this, Face. I'm not a constitutional scholar. I've not read the Constitution near as well as I should have. If that is a fact, and I'm not saying it's not, because I can't, right? I can't say that. If that is a fact, that going door to door and like knocking without probable cause, without the reasonable assumption that somebody is there committing a crime, right? That shouldn't happen. And I will agree that that is a government overreach. Right? Like 100% caught. That's a government overreach if that happens. And I would say that those are the conversations that I think people should be having. But the problem that I find is that those conversations and like reasonable conversations about what is actual government overreach is being overshadowed by the noise and the bullshit that is clearly something that could be cut through, but those are the arguments that we're having instead, right? And that is the problem for me. Because like while I spend my time on Twitch and like a lot of the videos and stuff I put out, like people are like, Judge, right wing, whatever. I'm really independent, man. I'm really a libertarian. Like I want you to do what you want to be able to do as long as it's legal. But I'm tired of people in like breaking laws, damaging and hurting other people, infringing on other people's rights, or infringing on the government's job, like ability to do what it wants to do, and then like just getting away with it scot-free. And then that is all we argue about instead of actual government overreach, right? Fourth Amendment, right? People to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures. Yeah. And no warrants shall be issued upon probable cause. Yeah, basically the TLDR on that is you have the right to be safe from unreasonable search and seizure, right? If you have not done anything wrong, then there's no reason for you to be searched. And I will agree 100% that you should not go door to door, kicking in doors, running through, grabbing people. I think that is a based take that most reasonable people will agree with. How long have it's been 6 months, Stormy? Jesus Christ. So, like, I'll agree that shouldn't happen. And those types of conversations we should be talking about, right? Those types of things we should be pushing back on. We shouldn't be having a conversation around, is it legal? Is it okay for fucking entitled people to block in law enforcement officers on the road? Like, that's not the conversation we should be having. Obviously, that's not okay. But if that is the conversation, then we're not talking about what JD Vance said, right? See what I mean? Sick and tired of hearing the far left and far right. That's why I get angry with politics. I do too, but I think that there's like a level of needing to try to be the reasonable voice in the room, and it's a responsible thing for me to do. Right? It's just responsible. Ripa, you've been following for 10 months. Jesus Christ, almost a year. Some of you guys have been here for a bit, man. But yeah, that's my view on it. I think that we should be having responsible conversations about things that need to be discussed. The fact that we have to relitigate facts and argue common sense tells me all that I need to know about where the actual problem is in the country. Right? It's just, it shouldn't be what we're doing, and long enough to see the fall of First Descendant. You've been here for a while. Some of you guys have been here for a while. Like some of this, right? 4 fucking years? I was like, dude, Face, I've seen your name forever. It's just, people drop in and out and they do whatever. It's fun to see what brings people. It's fun to see what brings people back to the channel or what gets people interested, right? Been around for a long time. And that's why it's so great, because we can be around for a long time and we can try to have conversations, because I think that no matter what you're talking about when it comes to politics, no matter what you're talking about, there is always a level where people can agree. You just have to get to that. And there are ways to cut the emotion off and get people to talk in good faith. Because like you said, right? Like somebody could have came in and saw me ranting about how much bullshit this is, and they'd be like, Judge is a fucking brown-shirted fucking bootjack thug that's all about like ripping people out of their homes. And it's like, well, hold on, man. I didn't say that. Well, JD Vance said that, and you're a fucking goddamn Republican. It's like, I never said that. Never said any of that. You're just making assumptions because it fits your narrative. And it's like, I didn't say that. And it's like, well, how do you feel about that? Well, I think it's stupid. Well, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's because you didn't ask, right? Not you, Face. I'm just saying, like, if a random person came in, it's like you didn't ask. There's probably a lot more in common on a lot of issues. And then it's just the extreme things that that people sort of like fall off on. But I think most people, even their extreme viewpoints, I don't think that most people have deeply held extreme viewpoints. It's just because the common sense viewpoints aren't getting talked about that they're pushed to talk about the more extreme things. Right? Like nobody wants to like live in those extremes. It's just if you can't even talk about this normal shit, then you just have to talk about the extreme shit, right? I'm gonna get some coffee. Because like stuff like this right here, this is a very common sense thing. And I've talked about this on stream. This is actually very common sense. But people don't have it. But Judge, you don't have a whistle going to protest on the street. You must be extremely right-wing. Hoffmeister, don't make me buy a fucking whistle to wear next week. Just wear like a little whistle for my stream all next week. I should get a pussy hat. I should get a pussy hat and a whistle. And then talk about things, but talk about them from a right-wing perspective and see what happens for a week. Like make all my thumbnails with me with like the pussy hat and the whistle to get people in. And then instantly just start talking about things that they disagree with. You guys are having the same problem in the UK? Which part, Liam? I saw you guys, we'll talk about it here soon. I saw you guys just got fucked in the UK. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. I saw you guys got fucked. Get the Karen hat and the whistle, it'd be awesome. Got a pet? Oh, shit. Even if 100 people are talking randomly, it's the 5 batshit crazies that get all the attention. It's because they stand there and scream while everybody's trying to like, what up, Steve? What up, everybody? It's because everybody's like, they just start screaming while everybody's trying to talk. This one right here. We're just going to let this play for a second. We're going to let this play, and then we'll see if common sense prevails or if not, right?
Nobody wears masks, only ICE. Only ICE. And why is it? Because they are embarrassed by the job they have been tasked to do. And it's absolutely horrifying. Masks should be banned in law enforcement. What kind of world can we have where cops come into your door in their masks?
Scott.
Counterpoint, the reason they're wearing masks, which, by the way, their director, Todd Lyons, he doesn't want them to have to wear masks. He's against the masks. The reason they're wearing them is because you have a dedicated group of people out there, and some of them, unfortunately, are Democrat political officials who are doxing them and their families and putting them in harm's way. They face 1,000% increase in violent attacks this year. These people are in harm's way every day, and they are protecting themselves and their families.
So, we literally talked about this yesterday or the day before. I am 100% on board with immigrations and customs enforcement agents not wearing masks. As long as you can 1,000% ensure their safety, the safety of them and the safety of their families before, during, and after conducting these operations. If you cannot, as the government or as like state and local law enforcement, ensure that level of protection, then I think it is well within their rights to protect themselves. Now, we could discuss different ways to identify them, all these other things, but at the end of the day, this is another one of those very common sense things. it is hard to argue against this when you present it in this format, which is their director doesn't want them to do it. I don't think they should do it, but unless you can ensure their safety, they're going to do it. If they can keep them from the doxing, then the masks stay on. Yeah, it's the way I feel. People are trying to find out where they live and kill them, kill their families, get them harass their families, harass their kids, follow them around while they're off duty. There's just so many reasons that it makes sense. So this is another one of those things where, like, how do you argue this? Because the argument is going to be, well, they don't get those protections. The only way you can argue this is by going, we don't have to guarantee their protections. They signed up for it. They knew this risk and threat as law enforcement when they took the job. It's the only way you can say that. That is the only argument. But boy, does that sound really bad for people who are trying to morally quibble about how immigrants who are here illegally deserve to be treated with like rights and dignity. They deserve respect. They deserve to be allowed to stay here legally. They deserve to be able to be here undocumented, not pay taxes, get help with like the social safety net. They deserve all of these levels of humanity. But the cops who are here to do their job, they don't deserve that same level of protection. They don't deserve to be treated like humans. The masks are for COVID. Right there, man. I didn't even think about that, Sonic. But do you see what I mean? Like, none of this makes sense if you take 5 seconds to think about it. Because in an ideal world, none of us want these cops to wear masks. I don't want a cop to wear a mask when he walks up to me. I want to know exactly who I'm looking at. But if I know that that same cop pulls me over and then goes down the road, pulls somebody over, and then goes home and gets shot by some gang or some cartel or some pissed off person, and he did it because nobody could provide safety to him and his family, or his whole family gets killed, or, you know, heaven forbid, like his daughter gets, like, you know, or something like that. That's a huge problem. Just a huge problem to me. All right. Here's the clip, chat. Here it is. I know Rip is back to lurking. Here it is, chat. These are the types of people. Are these activists trying to block like cars with their families with them? Oh, they're absolutely putting people at risk, and it's insane. These are the types of entitled people. Let me make sure I've got all my clips. All right. These are the types of entitled people that are going out and going from doing, how do I say this? These are the types of people that we're dealing with. These people in general are completely irrational, and they are entitled, and they think they can get away with whatever. And it is these same types of people that are the ones out screaming and yelling at immigrations and customs officials, right? So check this one out. I saw this. I was just like, what in the hell, boys?
Didn't touch you, man.
Not that long ago, and I can't stand another man touching me.
What do you mean, you people? You know what I mean, you people. You people. What up, Raven? You people. These people. This fucking crazy white liberal woman here that is just, what up, or that is just having an absolute fucking meltdown.
Didn't touch you, man.
Not that long ago, and I can't stand another man touching me.
Well, no one did that.
I just can't.
Is this a prank?
I can't. He won't go away. He needs to go away. He's the fucking problem.
Dude, Chicago, man. How's things going over there for you guys? Your police chief, I just watched a video from him earlier. That man is fucking based as shit. I mean, it might not be for everything, but for what I saw, this is a prank, or this is supposed to be real.
I need to leave?
No, just welcome.
Our therapist probably sucks. Dude, like,
I mean, what? Like, it explains a little bit more what happened further on in the clip, but just like,
I need to leave.
No, just welcome. We'll take you to
I still got. Okay. She threw some of my stuff.
Okay, where's your stuff?
Hell if I know. I'm so sorry.
so look at this. This woman is having a literal meltdown in the middle of Walmart. Okay, it's going to explain what happened here in a second. Having a literal meltdown. And instead of removing the person that is the problem, the guy that is trying to check out, he is the one that is being asked to leave to de-escalate the situation. You cannot remove the unreasonable person here. You cannot remove the person that is causing fucking just an absolute scene in the middle of your store. You're not allowed to remove that person. This guy is being removed.
You're not sorry.
She wasn't sorry when she cut in line.
Fuck
And
you!
then screamed
I didn't see you!
to make it. I just asked her if she saw anyone in line.
Just fucking leave.
All right, so we're going to go back in case you missed it. Dude, the clinics closed down in the U.S. I don't think they've been open for years. So basically what happened is she cut in front of line. She cut him in line. And it looks like she had something to say, or he had something to say about it. And that was all it took for this woman to just lose her shit, right? Listen to it again.
Sorry when she cut in line. And then screamed. Sorry when she cut in line.
You're not sorry.
She wasn't sorry when she cut in line.
Fuck
And
you!
then screamed
I didn't see you!
to make it. I just asked her if she saw anyone in line.
Just fucking leave. Just go.
That's an
leave.
adult.
You're making it loud.
Let's just walk up
I'm
to
just
you.
talking.
Walk up to you. Walk with Chris. Walk with Chris.
Just to calm everything down.
How are we not institutionalize these? She wanted to not wait, and this was her solution to being called out? Absolutely. She saw, I mean, like, the way this works is I'm assuming whether she did or did not see him in line, right? Let's give her the benefit of the doubt just to make this conversation better, right? She didn't see him. So she cut in front of him. I'm willing to bet this man sounds like he is a big gay bear, okay? Just from the tone of his voice and the way he talks. Sounds like he's a big gay bear. Nothing wrong with that. Probably a big gay bear, okay? For some reason, she completely missed him. Missed him with his cart standing in line. She goes around him. She starts checking out. And then all of a sudden, the register behind her opens up. He pulls up to the register. He starts checking out. And then he says something to her about like, hey, you cut me in line, right? Like he's making her aware of the situation. And then it sounds like the situation escalated. And then she threw things from his cart and then had a fucking 3-year-old temper tantrum, right? Because let's go back to the video real quick.
Touch you,
I
man.
was raped not that long ago, and I can't stand another man touching me.
Well, no one did that.
No one touched you, right?
I just can't.
Is this a prank?
I can't. He won't go away. He
You're
needs to
in
go
the-
away. He's the fucking problem.
I need to leave.
No, just welcome. We'll take you to
I still got. Okay. She threw some of my stuff.
Right there. She threw some of my stuff. So they're asking him to leave. And then he's even telling the Walmart employees that she actually threw some of his stuff and he did nothing to her.
No, just welcome. We'll take you to
I still got. Okay. She threw some of my stuff.
Okay, where's your stuff?
Hell if I know. I'm so sorry.
You're not sorry.
Honestly, I just grabbed the hand scanner and check out your shit. It's just like this. What do you do? What do you do when these people, this is just their default demeanor? Pure victim mentality. She did what she wanted. She completely ignored this man. She imposed her will on him by cutting line, making his day worse. She went ahead. She started checking out. He let her go. He didn't say anything. He pulls up. He goes to check out his stuff. They get into a big argument. She starts grabbing his shit. She starts throwing it. she starts freaking out, screaming, saying that she's a victim, and because things have happened to her recently, all of a sudden she can't stand having other people around her. She's freaking out, she's screaming, and then what happens is this guy is the one that's asked to leave, even though he's not the one who instigated the problem. How do you deal with this, right? So these are the types of people we're dealing with. Dude, throwing out, yeah, that comment is an excuse to freak the fuck out is wild, though. It's just victim mentality. It is, I am going to play such a heavy-handed victim card that you have to feel sorry for me. And because you have to feel sorry for me, you cannot even argue with me or say I'm in the wrong. She's probably released by ICE. She's probably getting a bunch of cat food so she can go home and feed her cat so she can go out and protest ICE, right? These same types of people, right? Like, so here you go. While I enjoy ripping on a freak out, that's another case of only see a few moments of the situation. Absolutely. And there could be way more to the situation than we know. For sure, right? This could be way more to the situation. Maybe he was crass. Maybe he was abrasive. Maybe he did fucking say something mean to her. You know what I mean? Maybe he decided he was going to go to the same register. Right? Like maybe he was going to go to the same register because she puts the scanner over there on that register instead of the register he's standing by. Like there's so many ways you can look at this. But the one thing that you can't, yeah, see, so he must have grabbed the scanner and was going to scan at the same register. But at the end of the day, her reaction is insane over a dispute. And you have to, at some level, you have to decide who you're going to believe. Are you going to believe that she didn't cut him? Right? Shane at no protest. She's getting cut off in traffic by ICE. She makes everyone look bad. Yeah. So there's, I mean, there's definitely a lot more that could be going on with this. But based on the words that are said here, it sounds like she cut him. And then he decided to stand his ground. And then because he decided to stand his ground about being cut, and told her that she cut him, that she just started freaking out because she didn't like him being there and she wanted to be able to go ahead and check out, right? Because they're only at one register. So let's do an actual breakdown now that we have everything here. He's at the same register as her. He's got the hand scanner. He says she cut him off. She's not disputing that, right? He's trying to scan his stuff. She's standing there. She starts throwing his stuff, telling him to go away because she's there now. She wants to do her checkout. She doesn't care about him or his feelings. He's not backing down, so then she loses her shit. These Walmart people don't get paid enough? Absolutely not. And she just loses her shit. She acknowledged cutting him off. Yeah, based on this, she's 100% in the wrong. And my man here has like fucking 3 things in his fucking cart. Like how, like a normal, reasonable, rational adult in this situation would have turned around and been like, fuck, bro, my bad. You've got like 5 things. I didn't see you. Go ahead and check out, man. I'll check out after you. Right? That's what a reasonable person would have done. Maybe he was being pushy. Maybe he was being assertive. But at the end of the day, it doesn't warrant this level of fucking freak out. It's easier to remove the calm person. Yeah, I know. But the problem is, removing the calm person incentivizes this type of behavior to continue. Right? Like, what you're doing is you're punishing the person who is behaving more or less. And obviously, he's not a fat man. Look at his hands. I was wrong about him being a fat man. But yeah. This is just frustrating, man, because we have a mental health crisis in the U.S. I do not think that you can even debate it at this point. The level of escalation, the way people escalate, the way people refuse to back down, the way people justify their behaviors, everything about this is wild to me. I bet she's a Nina fan. She's really upset she can't scan her butter instead of meat. Yeah. She just got caught not getting her free cat food. Free marketing for Walmart. Dude, yeah. Dude, is she like on drugs or a very deep mental condition? I'm assuming, again, I think this woman has enough of a mental health problem. That she needs a handler, right? Like, she cannot be allowed to be on her own, right? No, thanks, I'm a leftist. Bring back insane asylums. I can agree about the mental health crisis. I go through it every day. But when I'm in public, I have enough good common sense to control myself. I think that's the difference. I have no idea what happened. It was probably just some auto moderation tool. So, but you know, if Ordu's saying needs to be rephrased, I can't see what auto moderation does. That's fine. It's what she said happened. Yeah, they're probably just trying to protect. They're probably just trying to make sure it doesn't show up on a YouTube video. They don't want it to be in my YouTube video text. But dude, she can be a crazy bitch, but yeah, I don't know, man. But here's the thing, Night Owl. Like, we've talked about it before. Like, you and I have disagreed on some stuff, right? You say that you have, you know, some mental problems, but you are self-aware enough to know what you can and can't do, right? It's extreme, yeah. Don't want to be like demonetized, yeah. So I think that's the difference, though, right? Like, Night Owl, like, if you have mental problems, but you're aware enough to know that like certain actions are not deemed like acceptable in public, that is worlds beyond this person here, right? This person here, you are worlds beyond this person here. This person right here just has no fucking ability to think, right? Here's some other people. This is another one. These are the types of, this is another one of those things where how does your brain work like this, right?
It's hard to get used to getting used to violence. How do we fight desensitization?
I think by humanizing everybody in your life, humanizing your neighbors, humanizing the people you disagree with. Every single life is valuable.
Based, right? Unfathomably based, right? Everybody should be treated with dignity. Everybody should be treated with respect. Everybody's a human being. Everything's perfectly fine, right? Like, everybody should be treated with decency and human respect, right? I can get behind that. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think this is a really good worldview, right? As long as you're not like breaking laws or hurting people. Yeah, this is a pretty reasonable, you know, way to look at things.
I mean, I guess except for ICE's, like, kill ICE agents, but and Denver Police Department, but
never mind. There it is. Bro, everybody's life's sacred except for people who disagree with me. Kill them fucking people. You almost had it. It was right there. It was, you were so close. You almost understood what was going on. So close, right? Like, it was this close. They almost had it. And then the blue hair dye that has like affected her brain, like, just seeped in. And then she was like, oh yeah, but.
Aside from that, we have to humanize each other. We have to care for each other. That woman was a mother. She was a legal observer. Fuck everything that's going on. We have to turn shit upside down.
It's hard to get.
You can fix her. I believe you can. Sonic. Looking for the nose ring. Did she have one?
To getting used to violence. How do we fight desensitization?
I think by humanizing everybody.
I'm pretty sure she has at least a little stud in here, right? She might be nose ring curious, right? She's not fully ready to commit. The dye just adds to the edginess. The downside is I like hair dye, and I think chicks with like dyed hair, I think it looks good. But I'm 40. Like, when chicks dyed their hair like this back when I was 20, it wasn't like dyeing their hair to tell potential mates to leave them alone. Because they hate the patriarchy and they hate men and they hate everybody. Like, they didn't do it in a way to try to signal to men to fuck off. That's not what it meant 20 years ago. Now, nose ring, hair dye instantly means don't talk to me. Just don't do it. That's what it means today.
In your life, humanizing your neighbors, humanizing the people you disagree with. Every single life is valuable. I mean, I guess except for ICE's, like kill ICE agents, but and Denver Police Department. But aside from that, we have to humanize each other. We have to care for each other. That woman was a mother. She was a legal observer. Fuck everything that's going on. We have to turn shit upside down.
It's just how in like a reasonable brain can you hold both of those views at the same time? Because one of them is clearly a lie. And I think that the lie is based around the fact that they think everybody is sacred and every life is sacred and that everybody should be treated with dignity and respect. They only want the people they agree and care about to get those like levels of humanity. But anybody they disagree with, they're more than happy to just have that person just eat shit and die. Right? This is another one. I have a huge problem with this. And I have a huge problem with this. And I have a huge problem with this for two different reasons. Okay? Legal observer. Look at the definition of that. Right. Well, the legal part in there means that you are acting legally, right? Like there's a whole implication in the word legal observer, which is that you should be acting within the laws and bounds. I have a huge problem with this. I have a huge problem with this for two reasons. One, this owner does not care about the well-being of their dog. This dog will get shot and killed. Now, I'm going to explain why and how that can happen, why this person or this person, whoever's actually holding it, is actually a bad person, and why you should not be allowed to do this, and showing up like this should instantly get you arrested. Okay? Number one, let's just break it down like this. This dog is being put between the officer and the protester. Okay? They're using this dog as a shield. Now, you could say the dog walked up there or whatever. I don't really care. We'll watch the video. But this dog is being used as a shield. Number one. Number two, if things pop off and they start shooting mace or tear gas or pepper spray or something like that, this dog is going to be affected by that, right? Especially those like gases and stuff like that. It's really hard on animals because they have sensitive smell. Number three, if it feels like its owner's threatened, it is going to snap and it is going to go after whoever it thinks is attacking its owner. So this person is bringing this dog here for defense. This dog is essentially a weapon that this person may or may not be trained to control. And when one of these protests has something bad pop off and one of these dogs pops off on an officer, it will get killed because it will not stop. And that is the responsibility of the owner. This right here is wildly irresponsible, and it is putting the life of the animal at risk because the animal does not understand any nuance in this situation. Do not do this. This is I cannot express that enough. Do not do this.
Yeah, those is where it belongs, up here. Yeah, that's where it belongs. Anybody that was properly trained knows that this is where it goes.
See what I mean? And this person, yeah, it's also an American Shepherd. Yeah, this person is actively being provocative and trying to piss these people off. This person knows why this dog is here. This should not happen. You should instantly arrest this person for bringing a weapon. And there are going to be people that'll be like, "Oh, that's an overreach, Judge, blah, blah, blah." It is not, because you can clearly discern intent here. This is different than somebody walking by a protest with a dog. And anybody that is telling you that this person did not bring the dog here for defense and as a weapon is lying to you. They are hoping that you are ignorant, or they're hoping that you misunderstand the intentions, or that you fall prey to emotional manipulation. There is no reason for this dog to be here. None. 0% reason for that dog to be there. No, it should not be there. All right. We're going to go back over this video, even though we talked about it earlier. Where are we at? I need to fucking go to the bathroom again. We're going to watch this. We're going to watch this one. They're hoping the dog gets hurt on camera. Oh, absolutely. 100% they're hoping the dog gets hurt on camera. Right? If the dog gets hurt on camera, then they look like, then those people look like bad people. We're going to be talking about our UK friends here in a minute and how fucked they got. Because I feel bad for our UK buddies, and they got raked through the coals, man. That's about to happen, right? We'll talk about this. We're going to talk about this. Let me go get a soda. Go pee real quick. I'll put this video up for you guys, and then we'll rewind it when I get back, and we'll talk about it, right? It doesn't show anybody getting hurt, but it does show somebody getting detained. So give me a second. I'll be right back. Let me do this really quick. I just want to make sure it doesn't like autoplay to something dumb, right? I would hate for this to go away, and then like I walk away, and then all of a sudden YouTube is like, or Twitch is like, "Oh, yeah, you like this video, so let's autoplay some freaking corn or something," because that's what YouTube, or that's what Twitch likes, or not Twitch, that's what Twitter likes to like show people, right? If you see something crazy come up, come over here and fucking pause it. All right, so we're going to talk about what happened, because basically it's just a bunch of horns. Do you like Dr. Pepper? I don't mind Dr. Pepper. I don't mind Dr. Pepper. I don't mind Dr. Pepper. I mean, I'll drink soda, right? All right. So here's what we got here. Diet Dr. Pepper. It's because you're fucking weird. Pepsi. I got a Coke right now, man. I'm from fucking the South, I guess. Everything's a Coke. Breaking. Black female impedes patroller, ends up crashing into a pole and having her vehicle totaled. Agents forcefully detained her on the pavement, then carry her off to jail for the night. She's lucky she walked away alive. This right here, again, this right here is what happens when you gaslight people into thinking that it is perfectly okay for them to impede federal law enforcement and that they can do it without impunity, but you get them so worked up that they think that they can do it, but then they have a unrealistic fear that law enforcement is like brown shirt jackboot thugs that is going to arrest them and take them off and take them to camps and have them killed, right? So when you convince people that both those things are true, you have situations like this, right? So here's what it looks like. This is after the accident. So obviously we don't have the full incident. This is just after it happened. But after the fact that it happened, this is sort of the cleanup, right? So what had happened was she was blocking like law enforcement, and then she tried to run. And when she tried to run, she ended up hitting something, I'm assuming that pole, and totaling her car. And then after she did that, the cops just arrested her, right? So here we go. So now all the observers are getting at the scene, and now it's time to start to spin the narrative, right?
You guys know what's going on? Fucking kill somebody, man. Garbage. Really? You saw the whole thing? I couldn't see mostly because I'm right there on Concordia. Yeah. But I could see them get out of the fucking car. Well, how did this happen? I think they fucking driving by. She was pleading. She was lying right here, and she was pleading. What's going on right here? I didn't get to see the...
This is one of those things where now it's time to control the narrative. What she did was wrong. And then she got herself hurt, right? This could have been the officer's car. This could have been the officer's, but it wasn't. This was her car. And because she did this, she got arrested. And then while she was laying on the ground, she was pleading not to be arrested, right?
You were here? No, I was coming out of my house right here. I'm right down on the corner, man. And I just come out and I heard all the honking. And I could see all these fucking agents.
Motherfuckers, they didn't do it. They didn't get in her car and drive her car into a goddamn pole. Who the fuck do you think drove her car into the pole? Do you think it was the law enforcement officers, or do you think it was her dumbass?
Yeah. Fucking terrible. So there was a young mom driving this? Yeah. I don't know. I just came by and saw her on the ground right here. Yeah.
It was a young mom too, man. It was a young mom. Bro, they fucking took her. Bro, these guys are crazy. They're so insane. How dare they arrest people for fucking breaking laws, driving recklessly, and endangering everybody else on the road? What a bunch of assholes. How dare these cops try to protect other people? How dare they arrest people who did something that was demonstrably wrong? How dare they do this? Why is it mostly women blocking the eye? Why is it mostly women blocking ICE and not men? Because there is a deep-seated level of like guilt, predominantly that white women have. But this was supposed to be a black woman. But basically like a level of guilt that they have instilled in themselves, and they feel like it's their duty to try to help other people, right? So in this case, I can't like guess why this woman did this, especially like this like young black woman or whatever. Maybe she felt a level of entitlement because she had like a really good life, a really privileged life, and she feels that she wants to help other people because she feels guilty for the level of privilege she has. So she's going out and doing this. Maybe she feels like it's the right thing to do. Maybe she feels like it's her duty as like potentially like a previously oppressed class to try to help out other classes that are oppressed. Maybe she just did it for political ideology. Maybe she did it because she was having a bad day. Like, it's so hard to guess people's intentions. And I think that you do a disservice in some regards trying to guess people's intentions. But I'm sure this one was a little bit harder to do. Man blocks ICE agent. I'm going to arrest you, bro. Okay, bro, bye. I've seen numerous videos where guys get pulled out of cars instantly, right? Like, these women definitely are getting a benefit of the doubt that a lot of men wouldn't get in this situation.
You seen this? Did you see what happened? What happened? Bullshit. Well, I can't explain that, bro, because I don't want to be on that shit. Okay. Here, I'll stop recording. I won't even put you in the video. All right, I got you. Look at that shit. Okay. Look what they did to that shit. Yeah, I just saw the tail end of this. I came around the block, parked over here, and this is the end result.
Dude, the people screaming, like everybody's around filming, like they have even the slightest fucking ounce of a clue what's going on, right?
Jesus Christ.
Have really no information.
I really wish that you saw what happened up front, right? The guy's going off on absolutely nothing. Dude, the one dude is fucking losing his shit worse than that bitch at Walmart, right? Like, he's like, I bet he's got a backpack on too. Woman blocks ICE. ICE agent, I'm gonna arrest you, women. You don't have the right to do that. Others, you scared the shit out of me, but I'm not afraid. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's like when I try to explain this to people. I'll have some people that are like, dude, you're wrong. There's no possible way she was afraid. Look at what she did. And I'm like, no, she's afraid. She was afraid. She was emboldened and empowered, but she was afraid, right? No, the smashed car is the end result. It's the yeah, it's a middle, yeah. He's acting like it was his car. Oh, yeah.
There was a woman lying on the ground surrounded by about half a dozen agents pleading, and now she's gone. Look at this.
Here's the thing. You can make certain inferences here. Car smashed. Woman was pleading. She was arrested by ICE. Right? We know people are going around, they're blocking cars, everything else. You can make a lot of inferences from this, but it's just interesting that the parts that people try to highlight, because it's the emotional manipulation. There's this young woman, she's here, she's pleading for her life. There's these 6 big burly men around her. She just had no idea what was going on. Poor victim. They said pleading.
Welcome to Minneapolis. Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, Minneapolis, where you fuck around, where the intersection of fuck around and find out exists. You can't do these things. Like, nobody wrecked her car. She wrecked her car.
Corner of Snelling and Highway 94.
Fuck you, piece of shit!
Is that them? Oh, no.
Fuck you!
It's them, fuckers! God, this...
Fuck you!
Did you see any of this?
No, I just seen him fucking rip that guy out and fucking throw him in the fucking car, not giving a fuck about his, about how he...
Oh, there was a guy too. So we completely left out the fact there was a guy involved with this until just now, right?
How he was, or if he was okay or not.
I saw a woman lying right there, and they had about 6 agents like down right on her, and she was pleading, begging. What's that?
You got the time?
Time is... I do.
I would love to see an actual video, like footage of what happened here, right? I would love to see the actual footage of what happened. So there's a mom and a dad. This is the problem where you start to have issues. Ma'am, you can't park there. I wish that I could get another angle. I wish that I could get another angle, because I imagine that another angle would show everything that happened, right? Like, any better angle would have explained what happened. You guys saw the beginning. We'll go back, because I didn't see the beginning of like the lady being arrested or whatever, but yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any additional angles. So let's go back to the beginning. Oh, Jesus. Sorry about your ears. All these people, only one video? Exactly. I mean, I would love to see more of what happened, but yeah. I mean, you definitely see her ass getting arrested. You definitely see her ass getting arrested. Again, basically what it says here, are they trying to control how it looks? I have no idea. Where's this apparent man that was arrested? I have no idea. That was some guy that came up and said there was a man as well. He was probably on the front end of the video that got edited out to make this narrative, right? Black female impeded patroller ends up crashing into a pole and having her vehicle totaled. So based on the caption here, right? And here's where things like this get really frustrating for me, is because we're finding videos like this. Because now we're getting videos like this. And this video here, I'm going to turn the volume on, but the volume is intentionally hidden in the vehicle, which tells you basically everything you need to know. So that lady was impeding traffic and she had a pole. But now you're finding videos like this, which are, again, deceptively edited. This is supposed to be an ICE vehicle. This is supposed to be a protester video blocking. Make sure to note the flashing hazards. See, the hazards are still flashing. The car is still trying to bother or impede this ICE officer. There's no audio. There's absolutely no audio. They don't want there to be any audio for what's going on here, right? Also, I don't know enough about Minneapolis streets. I don't know if this man's driving on like a bike path or what he's doing. But you can clearly see that they are trying to interfere with this particular vehicle, and they are keeping him boxed in. This person is the one that is doing the active resistance, and this person here is literally pacing the car so he cannot get around them. Right? It's just this whole thing. So the reason we look at this video, is because of things like this. ICE is now ramming civilian cars through red lights in Minnesota. We looked at this earlier, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But you can clearly see right there that the light was yellow, which means that car sat through a green light, and it sat there so this person could get a video of this person being interested, like being frustrated, right? It's interesting how the plate keeps getting blocked. Yeah. They're staying back just far enough. I'm assuming that this is a second ICE vehicle, but I don't know. This whole thing, the volume being cut out, everything about this is problematic. It looks coordinated. Oh, it's 100% coordinated. Here's the problem. Here's where the problem is. All right, let me take a sip of soda. Doesn't look like a government plate though. Yeah, I have no idea. Like on the cop car, it might not be. I don't know. I don't know if government, like the ICE cars, have government license plates or not. It's a great Silverado commercial. Yeah. This is this right here is where you're starting to see the problem, right? Nobody can think critically and look at this video and tell that it's edited in a way to try to elicit a response, right? Clearly nobody's safe. These terrorists are allowed to break laws, all the laws they want. I think everyone should carry a firearm. This is how you get protesters out of the way for blocking traffic. There were a bunch of these that were bad. Let me see. This is a good start, but not enough. These protesters need to feel helpless too. What the actual fuck? At what point can we start protecting ourselves? They've demonstrated 9 times last 4 months they're willing to kill people. Shit's going wild in Iran. Already 500 reported dead in the protests. The problem is nobody, like, there's no media covering it, so it's so hard to even look at it. Fuck ICE. These people are completely insane. ICE is completely out of control. Reporting to the local police need to intervene. These fuckers are just breaking rules at this point. They don't care. They want their money. They're terrorists. The videographer of this scene did a great job. Clear video of felonies, great readability on the plate, video inside the car, damage caused. This is great evidence. Minneapolis, we need you to investigate it. Oh yeah, there's Nazi incels, blah, blah, blah. See what I mean? Like, the fact that people can't even look at this video and just discern for themselves what's happening. They see the video, it like reinforces their worldview. And because it reinforces their worldview, they instantly just start retweeting it and talking about it like it does something good for them. Right? It's literally yellow once they start moving, so it was obviously green, and they were being held by the car who had his hazards on because we can see the right taillight is flashing. They had zero intention of moving. Yeah, you get some actual real smart people in here. So it's just, at what point can we stop just lying? At what point can we stop lying? And at what point are we going to start holding people accountable for trying to control a narrative and trying to incite riots and incite violence by making shit up? There's a difference between free speech and malicious intent with free speech, in my opinion. And I think that we are starting to border on a very blurred line where people are trying to actively, where I think there are some bad actors who are trying to sow division and trying to get other people to act out in a way that is going to escalate the situation. Yeah. I'd like to know more about what's going on in Iran, but I saw this where Trump was talking about it, but it's definitely tough because like I can't really find any information on it.
Something willingness from Iran to engage diplomatically with you, or perhaps negotiate on their nuclear program.
With Iran?
Yeah, do you think they want to engage diplomatically with you?
They do. They called
you?
Yesterday.
Is it still an option?
Iran called to negotiate. Yesterday. The leaders of Iran called.
I'm sure the leaders of Iran have called because they don't want to lose their country, because these protests are going hard and the Iranian people feel emboldened because they believe the US is supporting them or is willing to support them. So they're just going hard to try to force a regime change. I think it'll be very interesting if the US decides to back the current leaders or current leadership, and then there's like heavy-handed retaliation for all of these riots and all of these protests, because the rioters and protesters thought that they were being backed by the US for regime change.
They want to negotiate. I think they're tired of being beat up by the United States.
Are you sharing any details on that call?
Iran wants to negotiate, yes.
Negotiate what?
We may meet with them. I mean, a meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting. Right. But a meeting is being set up. Iran called. They want to negotiate.
Yeah, I think, let me pull this over here. Let me see if I can find anything. I haven't done much with the Iran stuff. Maybe it's something we can look at tomorrow. We can maybe look at some of the Iranian protests like tomorrow. I'm gonna be careful what I can and can't show, because some of it's pretty bad, right? Like some of the Iranian protest stuff is pretty bad. Maybe we'll have to look into this, because I do think that this is a big deal. This is a big deal globally, and this is a big deal in the region. And basically, like no media is talking about it. I don't know enough about it, so it makes it really, really, really tough, right? Like, it makes it tough to try to have a conversation on it because I just genuinely don't know enough about it. Maybe we should just spend some time researching it, right? Like, on stream. Let me turn my music back on. All right, so here we go. This is the other one that we need to talk about. So a woman was arrested in the UK for posting inaccurate information on social media. Dude, UK, you guys are cooked. You guys are absolutely cooked. We talked. I have been a very big advocate for holding people accountable for posting like misinformation online or like misleading the public. But I have always been an advocate for that when it comes to people in power. And I don't think that you should just haphazardly police your like citizens if they're like putting misinformation out there, because like while some of it is nefarious, a lot of it is just them resharing things that have been shared with them. And I think that the people that should be held to account are like politicians, pundits. We say it all the time: politicians, pundits, people like that. People that know that the information is wrong or that are actively trying to use it to control the narrative. They're the people that should be in trouble. I don't think you should start arresting your citizens because they posted some misinformation online that they may not have even known. So this is sort of the biggest fear. And I think that as Americans, this is something that we're keenly like worried about. And I'm somebody who advocates from time to time for additional levels of censorship when it comes to like children, but I don't want there to be censorship for adults and consenting adults. You know, I don't want the government to overreach. And I don't want a bunch of barriers to me being able to live my life normally. So we're kind of at a crossroads, and Australia has done some stuff. The UK has done some stuff. Other countries are looking at limiting speech, free speech, the way speech works, increasing their sort of like what they consider hate speech and damaging speech, and are now actively enforcing it in a way that is going to start causing problems and is going to get pushback, right? So, woman arrested in the UK for posting inaccurate information on social media. Woman in the UK was arrested for sharing information on social media that was later deemed inaccurate. The incident prompted online discussions about free speech and the police enforcement practices. Related discussions highlighted broader UK arrests for online posts. This includes over 12,000 individuals under laws like the Protection Order Act of 1986. Let's see what we got here.
We have some breaking news now, and a woman has been arrested by Cheshire Police in relation to an inaccurate information on social media about the attacker in the Southport murders. It says a 55-year-old woman from near Chester was arrested earlier today, Thursday the 8th, of course, on suspicion of publishing written material to stir up racial hatred and false communications. She is currently being held in police custody. Chief Superintendent Alison Ross has also made a statement.
I feel bad because I do think some of this, and again, I'm not a UK scholar, but I do think the UK has been much, much more aggressive on like hate speech and hate laws. And I think some of it is like an institutional guilt around World War II. Like, I do think that to some degree, there is a level of feeling responsible for everything that happened during World War II and how far reaching it was able to spread and how it affected, you know, the Jewish people and the continent as a whole. And I think that sort of guilt is pushing a very serious overcorrection right now. And I think that unfortunately for our friends over in the UK, I think that this type of overreach will go to a certain point, but then it's going to get very, very... The UK, how about Europe? Well, I think that the UK and Europe in general, how about I rephrase that? I think that Europe in general has a level of guilt built in around what happened in World War II. Even though the UK themselves didn't do it or France didn't do it, there is like a collective level of guilt that it happened on the continent and that nobody wants to see it happen again. So because nobody wants to see it happen again, they're trying to over-police speech to temp it down and to try to prevent it from happening again. How about that? That's probably the better way of saying it. I'm not saying that the citizens all feel that way or that every citizen feels that way, but it seems to be an institutional level thing because it's really hard to view this through any other lens than that. Because without that lens, this makes no sense. So, but if you look through that lens, it makes sense on why the governments are trying to do this. But I do think that it will be seen as a very serious overreach the further it goes, and you will get very heavy-handed pushback by these citizens. Because you are essentially policing their freedom and telling them what they can and can't say. And now you are going to start going into their private conversations, which we'll go into here in a minute, reading encrypted messages before they're sent, and you are actively going into people's homes and personal lives and enforcing a crackdown on rhetoric that the government deems as not safe. Pretty sure this was an incident from August last year, so you're aware it's recently been reposted. I am not. Unfortunately, you lose a lot of information on this. So, because this is just last updated 3 hours ago. This was like breaking news, and we might not be able to, you know, use it or whatever. So this was when from last year? August of last year. That was a pretty good time ago. I don't think it changes what I'm saying, but it does sort of like change the impact or the relevancy of it, right? You're giving them too much credit. They're just dumb as shit. I mean, it might be, and it might just be a way to control people. But I like to try to look at things logically, right?
Saying that this is in relation to a post which has been fueled by malicious and the process rather has been fueled by malicious and inaccurate communications online. It is a stark reminder of the dangers of posting information on social media platforms without checking the accuracy. It's also a warning that we are all accountable for our actions.
It would have been nice if they would have left timestamps in it, but I don't know. So my friends across the pond, what do you guys think about this? I know we have some friends across the pond. So what do you guys think? Because that's not the only thing I've seen. Because this is definitely, you know, Elon Musk reacted strongly to claims that over 12,000 annual UK arrests for online posts deemed offensive under laws like the Communications Act 2003, a 58% rise since 2019 that covers harassment, threats, and more. The issue reignited after the 2024 South Post stabbings and riots, or Southport. This must have been where that video came from, where police arrested over 1,200 people. Officials defend targeting and incitement of violence, while critics argue it chills free speech. And then on top of this, I think that they just announced that Ofcom was going to be able to start reading encrypted messages, right? Let me double check. But I'm pretty sure Ofcom. I'm pretty sure that they ruled that Ofcom can read encrypted messages, right? I'm pretty sure this was announced. Again, I don't know how much. Like, I don't know how much I trust Basil the Great based on like what we just saw, right? Like a repost of something that was older. But basically what I'm seeing here is the UK government confirms Ofcom to scan encrypted chats. Ofcom now has the power to scan end-to-end encrypted chats using client-side scanning. Everything will be scanned before encryption. So you guys basically, isn't it ironic? The media points out the importance to do fact-checking given how much BS they put on it. Well, it's what's good for me is not good for thee, right? It's like the king rule, right? The king can do whatever the king wants. It's the peasants that have to deal with the rules. The king will implement the rules, the king will enforce the rules, but the king will never have to be held accountable for the rules and the laws, right? Like look at the false reporting that was happening with the BBC. How long they were reporting false information, or they were misconstruing, misaligning, editing videos to make them deceptive to drive a narrative, and how long they got away with it before anything actually happened, right? It's wild what you can and can't get away with right now, right? I feel bad for our buddies across the pond, man. I literally feel bad for you guys because I don't know, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out for you guys. Like, I just genuinely don't. I don't know how this is going to play out for you guys. I don't know where the end is going to be. I don't know realistically how it's going to work out for you guys. I'm worried. I'm definitely worried.
He is live now with the latest out of DC. Maddie.
Good morning, Todd and Carly. President Trump is...
I did have this video set aside, Magister, about Iran. So we'll watch this video on Iran real quick. It's about a 10-minute video, and then we'll kind of go from there, right? So this is a little bit of what's happening in Iran. If I could really just get my stop. All right, here we go.
We do know Madeline Rivera. She is live now with the latest out of D.C. Maddie.
Good morning, Todd and Carly. President Trump is closely watching the protests in Iran, so much so that he's set to meet with administration officials tomorrow to talk about next steps. The president, who has promised to respond forcefully if Iran resorts to mass violence, suggests the country is close to crossing his red line. The human rights activists' news agency says at least 500 people have now been killed.
Dude, 500 people. Let me turn this down. 500 people is an insane amount. I mean, given the size of the protest and the amount of unrest, I think 500 isn't a huge number. But in this situation, I mean, we obviously you'd want nobody to be killed. But I think when you're having protests in the street like this and you're actively trying to overthrow a regime, there are always going to be some consequences. But President Trump did make the statement that if you do these things, the U.S. is going to intervene. And I think that because of all of these things, the Iranian government is trying to negotiate something with Trump to try to find some way to make peace in the region. But I don't think that you are going to be able to put this genie back in the bottle without some serious issues, right?
These are violent. If you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it. And we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. Iran wants to negotiate, yes.
Obviously they want to negotiate. They are losing their country, and they are losing it very quick. So in their mind, right, their worldview, it is better to try to negotiate with the U.S. to try to get the U.S. to help them get their country under control, because they know that if they don't do this, that the U.S. is just going to continue to back the civilian population. And I think that ultimately, I don't know how you end this if you reinstill the people that are already there back in power. Because if you do that, it is impossible for this to end well for anybody. Like at this point, it seems like it has moved, the needle has shifted so far that you need to remove everybody that's in power.
We may meet with them. I mean, a meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting. But a meeting is being set up. Iran called, they want to negotiate.
You're talking about something before. You think the UK is a lost cause? It's going to take the US to save it? I mean, right now, the U.S. can't even save itself from like a bunch of the idiots that we have internally, right? Like we've got a ton of problems internally that I think we have to take care of. I think that there was a lot of American first rhetoric, right? There was a lot of American first rhetoric that was espoused, and a lot of like populist rhetoric about trying to take care of the U.S. and American government, American first, and American people. And I think that there's like a level of interventionism that is happening right now in a bunch of other regions that is going like counter to what was originally said. And I think that it's going to be a very delicate needle to thread to keep being able to do these like interventionist things while still claiming that you're doing American first. And I think that the US trying to like go help like EU get their house in order is going to be seen as hypocritical right now, because we can't get our own house in order right. Right now, you'd be okay with like your PM having a bad day. You'd pay to watch it. I mean, I do think that there's a level of, I think that there are some UK people who are not happy with the way things are unfolding in their country. And they feel that no matter what they say or do, they do not have control of it, right? And that you can sort of say you're not okay with all these overreaches, say you're not okay with all these government overreaches, but at the same time, and nothing is happening, and you're just seeing seemingly more and more rights being taken away. And I think that the UK or Europe as a whole, but like the UK and a couple of these other countries, I think they're about to have a real come to Jesus moment. And I don't know how it's going to work out. Like, I don't know when your guys' next parliamentary elections are. Maybe you guys are just going to have like a really heavy-handed. It's not called conservative. I don't know what it's called in like the UK or like the EU or whatever. But you're going to have more of a what I would say is an American style like conservative movement where people just push for, Great Britain first, UK first, whatever, Germany first, Italy first. And you're going to get a bunch of politicians in there that just sort of undo everything that's going. The voting age has been reduced to 16, so the next election. They really reduced your voting age to 16. You guys are cooked. You guys are cooked because they're indoctrinating kids right now to believe what they're saying, right? I watched Asman stream yesterday, and he used he played the game that the UK kids are being told that they have to play in school now, right? Like the are you doing the right thing game? The game was so manipulative. And if that is what kids are being taught in the Pathways game, yeah, if that is what kids are being taught, and then they're allowed to vote while they're being fed propaganda, you guys are cooked. You guys are absolutely cooked. You're letting people who don't have fully developed brains determine the trajectory of your country. Where does that make sense? Where does it make sense to let that happen? It just doesn't. Like, I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to get into this, and I'm gonna have to cut all this from the video because I haven't done enough research on it. But like at the end of the day, there is a lot to be said about democracy and the good of democracy, and allowing people to determine, sort of like their own destiny and their own fate. But at what point do you add guardrails and like checks and balances to the system to ensure that everybody that is voting understands what they're actually voting on? Luckily, it's over 18 here, but I know there's a push to reduce it to 16 a few years ago. It'll happen. They'll push it younger eventually. Once they find that they can't get other things through, they'll lower it. I don't want to advocate for certain things. It's not that I don't agree with them, but I think that I've seen some people advocating for limiting voter rolls and limiting the people that can vote. And basically their thought process behind it was that the founding fathers had put guide rails in place when it came to electing public officials originally, to ensure that only certain people voted, and that is very exclusionary and that is very restrictive. And you can argue about the ethics of it, but the concept behind it and the concept of adding rails and constraints to ensure that people understand what they're voting on and make clear, sound, logical decisions is not that hard to wrap your brain around, right? There's obviously clear ethical implications on, well, if you don't allow certain people or certain types of people to vote, that they will become disenfranchised from the inability to vote. So there's going to be like a needle that needs to be thread here. But I think that just allowing every random person with every crazy idea to be able to determine or steer the trajectory for everybody else is starting to be a problem. And you can clearly see it when you can see how mentally unstable the United States has become. It's because they know they're losing control. Yeah. They can't drink, drive, or access adult material, but they can vote. Makes perfect sense to you. Yeah. The reason it makes perfect sense, right? Like to suspend disbelief is because the reason you would lower the voting age is because it's going to get people to vote the way you want, right? Because it is going to allow you a larger voting block, which is going to ensure you get to keep your majority. When average people turn away from you, and when average people start to find what you're doing abhorrent or illogical, and you know that you are going to lose the ability to maintain power, the next thing that works is to expand the voting rights to additional people to ensure that they vote your way, right? That's basically what happens. So if you take a situation like hyper liberal people I'm going to make an argument up here, and I don't know if it's true, but just follow the logic and then you'll see the logic. If you were the UK government, and you knew you were instilling hyper progressive, hyper liberal laws and ideology, and you were instilling it into the public, the population, and your laws, and you were trying to entrench it into your legal system or into your laws or whatever, and you notice that public sentiment is changing, right? The winds are changing, and you can see that these viewpoints are not as popular as they were, and you can see that they will continue to become less popular. You have two choices. One is to abandon them, or two is to find additional people that will make up the attrition that you've had when it comes to losing that popular opinion, those votes. And it seems that in the situation, the UK decided, instead of abandoning those principles, they will just bring younger voters onto the rolls, and they will use education, re-education, public sentiment, changing rules, changing laws, and the fact that these are literal children who don't really have the ability to think critically for themselves, and you will use them to help keep your ideology alive. Because as your population is aging, more and more people are not falling in line with your views, and you cannot bring in enough people fast enough to shore up your voter rolls, so you need another way to do it. Probably end up with an Andrew Tate as PM. Do you guys think that you would get something that crazy? Like, do you think that you could see that level of overcorrection? I'm asking because I really don't know. Like, if you guys are from, like, say the UK or whatever, do you think that there's a chance that you could get a severe overcorrection to somebody who is just 100% just anti the woke agenda, anti the pushback, 100% like Britain first, UK first, whatever you want to say, 100% like we don't need illegal immigrants, we don't need these people here, we only worry about us, we're not spending money abroad, we're not worrying about anything, we're shoring up our country, we're shoring up our borders, we're going to stop and, like, quote unquote indoctrinating kids. Do you think you could get somebody that would run on a platform like that and would actually get votes? Or do you think there aren't enough votes to get them elected? And what would the trickle down look like into your election, like into the rest of your politics? Because like in the US you elect individuals, right? But in like the UK or in like Great Britain or whatever, I'm pretty sure you elect parties, right? So you elect like parties, or you elect like members of parties, but then that party has control, and then it kind of filters down. And then it filters down, and then it kind of like becomes like part of the institution, right? It's not like here in the US where you can just like vote for individuals and it doesn't really like matter, right? You can vote top of the ticket, bottom of the ticket. It's already happened and it was a shit show. Do you think that they'll try it again? Like, do you think that they're willing to try it again, or do you think that it's just done and dusted and they're like, dude, we don't want that? Because I mean, transparently, it doesn't seem like what's going on right now seems to be less of a shit show. Forced messaging, controlling the messaging, limiting access to X, reading people's private information, reading people's private messages, ratcheting up the hate speech laws, making them more broad. To me, this seems pretty extreme in and of its own right? Like, to me, this doesn't necessarily seem good either. People get frustrated, they'll vote for an unknown just to see any kind of change. That's what happened with Brexit. I could see that. It's so tough because you want things to go well, and you want things to go well for people. But you're just like, what in the, you know what I mean? Like, what's actually going on here? I don't get it.
The Wall Street Journal reports the U.S. options are not limited to just military strikes. Officials are also expected to consider boosting anti-government sources online, deploying secretive cyber weapons against Iranian military and civilian sites, and placing more sanctions on the regime. So far, the Pentagon has not moved any forces in preparation for military strikes, which could be necessary in case Iran does retaliate against U.S. troops in the region. Iran says U.S. military bases, ships, and other assets will be considered potential targets. But Al Jazeera reports this morning, per Iran's foreign minister,
I don't think, even with everything going on, I mean, you could say maybe like in death throes, they would lash out at the U.S., but I think when they're fighting internally, right, to like try to control the situation, the last thing they're going to want to do is lob rockets at the U.S., because then that just gives the U.S. more of a reason to actually put boots on the ground.
Internet could be restored soon as the country tries to project control over the situation. Connectivity would reportedly be restored to embassies and government ministries. Carly and
Interesting.
All right, Madeline Rivera, live for us in Washington. Maddie, thank you. Let's bring in former Deputy National Security Advisor and Heritage Foundation Vice President Victoria Coates. Victoria, good morning. It's great to see you. Let's start with this latest information that Maddie just mentioned.
Guys, before we move on, if you guys haven't, if you guys are hanging out and if you're chilling and you're vibing, I know that it just posted from Fossabot. But if you guys like the content, you like the conversations, you want to follow them more, you want to catch up with them when I'm not live, you're looking for, you know, more ways to just have these types of conversations and you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. We've been taking a lot of the content that we've been cutting up here, and it's not all news, it's not all politics, but it's just politics has been really dominant right now because of just what's going on in the world. And it's been a slow news cycle for everything else. We take a lot of these conversations, we cut them up and we put them over there. So it's a great spot to catch up on conversations that you might have missed.
About what Iran's foreign minister is saying today, that protests in the country are actually, quote, under control, and they are now working to restore internet access across Iran. Are you buying that?
Well, good morning, Carly. Good to be with you. No, not at all. I mean, this is the third week of protests. This is the most sustained protests we've seen in Iran since 1979. This is in no way under control. But the problem that the mullahs have is every day they have the internet shut down, costs them billions of dollars. That essentially shuts down their economy. So eventually they have to start turning it back on, or else they're simply going to run out of money. So this is more on them than it is some kind of acknowledgement that they're in control of the country.
Well, I mean, yeah, I need to make more time to just watch some stuff off stream. Maybe I'll need to check them out, and then those can be videos I just like put on and listen to while I'm like busy with stuff. So I might have to have you just like toss their name in the Discord someplace so I can like subscribe to them and see what they're saying and catch some of their videos. I think that for this, Iran knew shutting down their internet was going to hurt them, but the goal was that shutting down the internet, shutting down cell service was going to disrupt or like make it hard for people to sort of like collectively gather and to coordinate these types of protests. But I think at this point, basically their entire country is shut down. And because their entire country is shut down, even if you shut off the internet and phones, people are just, this is what they're doing, right? This is what they're doing. So they can coordinate with each other so much easier because this is where all of their energy is focused.
I think what we need is more sustained pressure. President Trump has done more for these protesters than any American president in history already, and he's prepared to do more.
So when you say sustained pressure, that begs the question, what does come next? Here's the president on that. Listen.
Oh, it absolutely was to used as cover to go after the protesters. Absolutely was. And once they turn the internet back on, I bet we'll see some pretty egregious videos come out of the region on what actually happened, right? I guarantee once we get internet access, we'll be able to see more. And maybe we're going to start seeing more news agencies cover it. Maybe it was because of the blackout. But I do think that there needs to be more coverage on this, right?
Well, if they do that, we'll consider things targets they wouldn't believe. If they do that, we will hit them at levels that they've never been hit before. They won't even believe it. I have options that are so strong. So, I mean, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful force.
The president speaking there in generalities. We'd like you to address the question with some specifics if you can. What should the president do and when should he do it?
Well, he'll have a range of options, Todd, but what he's demonstrated with the action against Nicolas Maduro is we have capabilities the mullahs in Tehran can't even imagine, and they know that. And what's more is we have a partner in the region that can also reach out and touch them anytime. That's Israel. And so we have this range, as I said, of options that can be implemented against leadership. We have additional technological options that we can use to get internet access into the protesters if they continue to shut down the internet. So we are going to look at that range. But what's also really critical about the president's options is he has already demonstrated that he will use them. The B-2 bomber strike in June showed that he will use kinetic American force.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that the U.S. is taking a very hands-off approach right now because I don't think that they're necessarily sure that this protest is going to cause an overthrow of the government. I think that they're using this as a way to force Iran to the table. And because of that, and because I don't think they're actively super serious about going in and doing this, that they're taking a more hands-off approach. But I think that if they sense the winds, right? Like if the U.S. government senses the wind shift in a way that's going to be more advantageous for them, they might actually go into the region. Iran's been kind of problematic for a while for the U.S. and for its allies in the region. So I think the U.S. just has to be really careful because we've sort of been overstepping some bounds repeatedly, and going after somebody like Iran could really trigger our adversaries like Russia and China in a way that I don't think that the U.S. government wants to do it right now. Has a decent breakdown of the Iranian history and its relations to the U.S. as well. I mean, I've seen some videos that basically make it look like Iran wasn't that bad until the Ayatollah, whoever took over the country, and then turned it into more of a Muslim state or you know what I mean? I think that was really when Iran shifted, right? Unless I'm wrong, but that was my understanding, was Iran wasn't terrible. The U.S. Cold War fucked them up. Yeah. I mean, basically a lot of things are the U.S.'s problem. We just don't talk about it. But the U.S. has fucked up a lot of people through international interventionism. That's why a lot of countries hate us, though.
Now, at the same time, he's saying, I will negotiate. If they want to talk, he'll talk. But if they refuse to come to the table and stop this horrible persecution of the free Iranian people, then he's going to strike them. And they know that.
You know, Victoria, one of the things that I was wondering about, the fact that we know that the president is meeting with top officials tomorrow and some of the options that are on the table, that's all been publicly reported. What do you think about that being made public? A lot of people will learn about this with deep interest, but does the public reporting on this undermine what the administration can do moving forward?
What do you mean? I don't understand the question.
No, I don't think so, Carly. I think what it does is it signals to the Iranian regime that they're very serious. Now, what they discuss in that meeting will rightly remain secret, and that's as it should be.
Maybe my brain is just getting fried from watching so many videos, but that whole exchange was just word salad in my head.
But for the regime to know that the American administration is meeting all of the senior people, all the people, I might add, who planned the Maduro operation, are getting together and discussing these options, that's a big warning to them that they should stop this crackdown. They should start to look at liberalization, ways that they can give the Iranian people their freedom, give them a voice in their government, or else something much stronger is coming.
From Iran to Cuba, President Trump.
I don't know how you can take a country that is so ideologically bound, that is ruled by with an iron fist, and is so closely tied to religion and in some cases religious extremism, and then just assume that they're going to relinquish some part or all of that control and then just magically be okay with people with opposing viewpoints being in their country is just wildly naive to me. There's never been any proof that has ever happened in history in a good way.
So I don't understand a way that this ends with the status quo being left in charge, or like the status quo being left intact in any reasonable or like large scale way that doesn't instantly cause problems later on.
Says the administration is talking with Cuba, hopes to strike a deal. That said, Cuban leadership remaining defiant, saying we are a sovereign nation, don't mess with us, we will fight till the last drop of blood. What does a deal with Cuba potentially look like? Because, again, maybe this is the jingoistic Todd in me, but it seems like we have all of the leverage here, and we can basically get Cuba to do whatever we want. Your thoughts, Victoria?
You can use the force doctrine, and you can try to get people to do whatever you want, but the problem is you have to get rid of everybody that disagrees. Because if you leave anybody, say, in Cuba that disagrees or has like an old Cuban mindset, they're just going to constantly sabotage your efforts. And this is another one of those situations where I've talked about this numerous times. When it comes to like U.S. and U.S. interventionalism and going into other countries and getting involved, I think that you either need to take an all or nothing approach. If this is actually good for us and we want to like take or seize a country, then we need to go in and we need to take everything out and we need to wipe it out. And then we just need to put our flag there. Or we just need to stay away from it. So like if Trump is trying to like strike some sort of deal with like Cuba to like, I don't know, work with us or whatever, like that's negotiations or whatever. But if it falls apart, then we either need to walk away and just be like, okay, like we just don't deal with Cuba. Cuba doesn't deal with us. We embargo them. We don't send things there. They don't send things here. We just let the country starve. Or let it like deal with whoever else in the region. Or you just need to go in and make it yours. I just like these half-hearted approaches don't really do anything for me.
We definitely should. Now, President Diaz-Canel, the post-Castro president of Cuba, is no improvement on the Castros. He is also communist. He's also bitterly anti-American. And bear in mind, Todd, this is 90 miles off the shores of Florida. So this is much, much more proximate to the United States. This has been a horrible problem since the late 50s for the United States. So the fact that we could actually make a change in Cuba is a huge deal. It's very important to a lot of Americans that this situation turned from being a horrible enemy of the United States to potentially a great friend. So the economic situation there is horrific. They've just lost their great patron in the form of Venezuela. So this is a time when I think we can really reach out to the people of Cuba and the American community. The Cuban American community can do so much to help them. And this should not.
I mean, you better hope that the U.S. reaches out, because with Venezuela being gone and Venezuela being funded by Russia and China, you could have Russia or China just say, hey, don't do anything with the U.S. and we'll take care of all of your problems. We'll flood you with so much money that you won't even know what happened.
Be a huge heavy lift to get the island into a much better place, get rid of the scourge of communism, and again, as I said, turn them into a friend of the United States.
Yeah, and if you're a Cuban leader, learn from Maduro, learn from Soleimani. If the president says, take a deal, make a deal, you better take that deal and negotiate. Victoria Coates live for us this morning. We thank you. We appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, there's a little bit of information on Iran. I might have to watch some stuff on Iran or leave some Iranian videos up. I might have to leave some Iranian videos up. When I'm working on stuff tomorrow. Sneaks in and lurks. Sold mini drones to Russia. What do you mean? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if that's what ended up happening. See what we got here. So Code Violet, didn't this just come out and like absolutely flop? Cuban food's freaking good. Yeah. Didn't this come out and just absolutely flop? Oh yeah, I remember this. They said it will not be on PC because the devs don't want mods on it. I remember this. I remember this conversation. Let's see what Vera has to say about this. I haven't really been following Code Violet, but I've heard some pretty wild things about it, and I think that if you try to push against your customers and you try to demonize them and you try to talk bad about them, you are going to have a problem, right? A 4 out of 10 is terrible. And the fact that Code Violet said the game won't be on PC because they didn't want vulgar mods is kind of a problem, right? Supposed to be a Dino Crisis successor, right? Crummy combat, tedious exploration, technical problems. I don't understand this too. Like this push square thing. Code Violet is a mess. Crummy combat, tedious exploration, technical problems, the sexy costumes, and horny camera work seem at odds with both Violet's characters and the tone of the writing. So they've already got that type of content in it, but they don't want mods. What are vulgar mods? I don't know. Maybe they're looking over at Stellar Blade and saying they don't want them to like increase the chick's tits. I don't know. See what VAR has to say about it.
The FAFO stages of their release because the journalists, the Code Violet devs are in the FAFO stages of their release because the journalists and wokies they tried to pander to were saying this game is bad because of the horny camera work and the sexy skins, while the gamers who would have supported them and enjoyed this content are pointing and laughing at them online because the developers are hypocrites, the developers attacked us, and the developers didn't want our dollars, and now basically everybody is roasting them online, and it's not looking good for their launch.
I mean, yeah, a 4 of 10 from IGN and a 4 of 10 from Push Square is definitely not working out for them. And it sounds like basically the entire game was crap. And the only thing that would have saved it would have been the Goon community. But then you didn't put it on PC because you didn't want the Goon community to have anything to do with your game. And then you demonized people from that community. So this seems like a game that was just absolutely set up in a way that was going to fail. Does my mom make me chicken nuggets while you stream Fox News to 10 people watching you as your hairline recedes in real time? It does. My mom makes chicken nuggets, and that's just because your mom's under my desk. So I couldn't have your mom do it, you know? If it wasn't for that, I would, I'd have your mom do it for me.
I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, as I always say, developers should be given the choice to put sexy costumes in their game or to not put those in their title. They can make whatever content they want. I even say that about the Dustborns and the Concords and the High Guards, but that doesn't mean that you deserve our praise just for doing what exactly you want, because when you go on to attack people who expected something different and you go on to attack people who are calling out your hypocrisy, yeah, that's a really bad look because these developers are hypocrites.
I think this is one of those things. You like Vera Dark? She seems to do a good job. I think Vera Dark does a good job for the most part. I think that also, Hoffmeister, man, thank you for the 30 biddies, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support, brother. I think that when it comes to your game, you have all of the creative liberties to do whatever you want. You can make any video game you want. And I think that it is well within your rights due to your investment, your time, and everything else you're doing, right? 100% okay. If you decide to make a game that doesn't resonate with gamers, then I think that you should be punished with low sales, right? You should be punished with low sales. You should have your game fail. And I don't think that you should then go out and demonize the gamers for not wanting to support whatever message you decided to put in your game or whatever slop you decided to put out there. I think that in order for a lot of games to be successful, how about I say this? I think that a lot of games that are hyper successful long term on PC typically embrace some type of modding culture, right? You can look at Minecraft, you look at Stellar Blade, you can look at Stardew, right? You can look at Stardew Valley. You can look at a lot of these games and see that the embracing Skyrim, that embracing the modding community does a really good job and helps to garner goodwill and let people take a game that is already good or that might even be bad and make it a good game and fix its deficiencies. So I think if you decide to push against PCs, push against PC gaming, push against modding, push against the modding community, you're already setting yourself up for like a really big uphill struggle. And then if you only push a game out to PC and then you try to control the messaging, and demonize everybody that disagrees with you, then your studio should be punished for that. I just think that's the way it is.
They said that they would not release it on PC because they did not want vulgar mods made of their character. They didn't want you over-sexualizing this lead character. But what do? Go ahead and give you lingerie in the game. And if you look at all of the teasers and trailers, they definitely market it with sex appeal. There's constantly images of the character's butt and her cleavage. And I personally don't mind, again, if the developers don't want a focus on sex appeal in their title. But they can't be hypocrites and say, oh, you can't sexualize the character, but we can, and then we can put that in our game. It just doesn't.
I mean, they can absolutely be hypocrites. They can be hypocrites. They can do whatever they want, right? It's their game. But just understand that when you talk out of both sides of your mouth, you're going to piss off both sides of the community. So you're going to demonize people for doing it. You're going to tell people that you don't want them to do it. You're going to not put the content on PC because you want to prevent people from doing it. And you're going to act like you dislike this, but then you're going to fill the game with that. It looks like doublespeak. And at the end of the day, when it comes to like fan service and all of that dumb shit, none of it matters if the game is trash. And obviously, I haven't played the game, but from the reviews, it sounds like even like the combat and everything else is bad. No amount of fan service is going to fix a bad game, right? They do it in their taste, but they don't want it to go overboard. Yeah, they can say and do whatever they want, but I don't know. This is one of those things where you can do whatever you want as a game in a game company. I really don't care. But just don't be surprised when people don't want to buy your crap. I'm waiting to see if they push back in post, like when the game does bad, and then blame the fans. Because that's normally the playbook here, is the next thing to do is blame the fans, right?
Doesn't look good, and even the journalists are now attacking this title, saying, oh, the sexy costumes and the horny camera work go against the tone of the game. And they're also just saying it's dated, it's buggy, it's not a great experience, which, as I always say, I do not trust video game journalists, but I personally will not be giving this a shot myself because these developers blocked me, or their community manager blocked me. The community manager has blocked many people, and ultimately I am not going to give them my dollars.
I mean, again, I think that you have the right to do whatever you want. I think it just looks childish if you can't take at least a little bit of criticism, right? Like, as a community manager, if you can't take a little bit of criticism, if your skin is so thin that you can't deal with people talking bad or pushing back against your product, you're just setting yourself up for failure, right? The community manager block content creators. That doesn't bode well,
if you
right?
think this game looks good, I hope you buy it. I hope that you enjoy it. But it is just very interesting to see the journalists saying, yeah, it's not good, when these are the exact types of people that the Code Violet team clearly wanted their game to appeal to. I mean, even IGN said Code Violet is not the Dino Crisis successor you may have hoped for. It doesn't even clear the bar of being a successful clone of the various other third-person shooters it cribs most of its ideas from. Its maps layout are dated, the visual style was a letdown. Push Square said Code Violet is a mess, crummy combat, tedious exploration, technical problems, the sexy costumes, and horny camera work seem at odds with both Violet as a character and the tone of the writing.
You're hoping it was going to be good. You love Dino Crisis. I would love if it was good. I like games with the dinosaurs in it. I think you can do a good job and you can have a lot of fun with this. I think one of the biggest letdowns in gaming that I have seen, especially when it comes to like games that play on nostalgia or remakes that don't do it properly, is what they try to do is they try to play on your love for the subject matter and they try to exploit it. But the problem is, if you don't revolutionize the systems, if you don't make the game play better, and you lean too heavily on inspiration or old dated systems, it makes the new game feel very old and feel very cumbersome to play. I've noticed this in a lot of games. The most recent one was, I think it was like they did like a Dead Space remake. I think it was Dead Space where they like, it might have been Dead Space or it was Callisto Protocol. Dead Space had some issues too, but Callisto Protocol was one of those games where it was a brand new game at the time, but they made it in a system, or they made the systems
very reminiscent of like Dead Space and old Dead Space systems. And to me, the game just felt bad to play. Like, I played it, I beat it, but the whole time the controls felt like they were fighting me. The game and the systems felt like they were fighting me. It felt very slow. It didn't feel fun. It didn't feel interesting, or it didn't feel that entertaining. And I actually said after I beat the game that I disliked the game in its entirety. And I think those are the types of things where you can't get around that feel, right? And I think that Starfield was another prime example of this. Starfield was like a brand new game, but it was done in traditional Bethesda style with a lot of loading screens, with like very static characters and a lot of their cutscenes, the systems, the inventory, the movement, the maps, the map design. It all felt very dated. And you were like trying to play on nostalgia and people's nostalgia. But the problem was people's nostalgia works if they're playing something that drives nostalgia, right? So playing an old Fallout, playing an old Skyrim, or playing an old Elder Scrolls, you can sort of like prey on people's nostalgia because they remember playing that old game with those old systems. But if you just make something that feels old, clunky, and cumbersome, and it's like a new game, a new IP, or it's like a new experience, people aren't going to like it. You just beat that game on hard mode and it was ass. Callisto Protocol, I thought it was terrible. I absolutely thought Callisto Protocol was terrible.
Even at 6 hours long, it's tough to recommend. And while on one side you have the journalists and really the wokies attacking it, now gamers are pointing and laughing too. I mean, I know I had said, it's too bad modders can't fix this one, because I will still buy a game to support developers who are putting their best foot forward, even if it's not a 10 out of 10, even if it needs mods. Some of my favorite games need to be modded, like Skyrim. A vanilla Skyrim is definitely showing its age now. I still have fun with it, but with mods, it becomes a phenomenal experience. But they said they didn't appreciate modders. They said that they weren't releasing it on PC because of modders. And so I just have to really look at the base experience, and it's definitely not worth full freaking price. They expect you to pay $50 for a buggy and broken game. Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
I think if it's $50 for like a 6-hour experience, you're definitely asking a lot from players. And if the game doesn't, right, like if the game doesn't give the experience that players expect, then I expect players not to buy it. This is another one of those situations, like I said earlier, where it's just fuck around and find out. You want to deliver bad games, but your studio is just going to be punished for it.
With the way that this studio has acted. Now, Pirate Nation had made this post about this, and the developers actually responded, or again, the social media manager, whoever is running this account, we don't really know, but one would deduce it's one or the other, said the fans and players love Code Violet, which, by the way, they said this yesterday when the game hadn't even come out yet. I assume they mean people loved the way that the teasers and trailers looked, but technically, fans and players couldn't love Code.
The downside to this is it's going to be completely impossible to validate because it's not launching on Steam. And because it's not launching on Steam, there's going to be no way to tell like launch day player stats, right? Oh yeah, I mean Expedition 33 is $40 and it's a way better title. Yeah, there's no reason to buy this title.
Code Violet to the fullest, but the opinions of 2 individuals who didn't like it have no effect. Code Violet has been and continues to be a massive success. Our fans and players are the ones who matter, which is just so hilarious because the 2 individuals they are talking about, I'm assuming, are me and Pirate Nation. We have been talking about Code Violet quite a bit. They are really upset by our comments.
I feel like the two, like maybe I'm misunderstanding this. I'm pretty sure the 2 individuals are not Vera and Pirate. I think it's going to be the 2 reviewers, right? Which was IGN and Game Informer or something, somebody else. And IGN typically gives like really good scores to like some of these studios. So I don't think this was actually to Vera and Pirate. Maybe it was, but I think it was more about the reviewers and press square. There you go. So yeah, it was basically Sony. It was basically Sony and IGN, which in theory you would have assumed they would have gave them pretty good scores. So yeah.
On this topic, but maybe they just mean 2 individuals, as in, oh my god, there's like 2 guys who hate it. and they're not being serious. Either way, though, that's clearly not the case, as there are hundreds to thousands of people who are commenting online saying it looks bad. I mean, even on my videos, right? 25K views, hundreds of comments, people saying, yeah, I'm going to pass on this. But it's just unfortunate when developers really dig themselves deeper into a hole.
Sonny would pay IGN to do the review. I mean, at this point, I mean, typically IGN's reviews are basically like junk. They're basically biased. They're basically crap. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we would see it, right?
They, a couple of weeks ago, had gone on this blocking spree. If they had reversed that and said, you know what, we were too hasty, we got a little bit personally bothered, we're sorry, we've unblocked everybody, I would say, let's let bygones be bygones. Have a conversation with me about this game. Maybe you can clarify a little bit better why you didn't want your game on PC. I would have tried to give them a chance to basically say, we love modders, this just isn't the direction we wanted to take our game in. But nope, they've doubled, tripled, quadrupled down, and whoever's running this social media account has made it so plenty of people are not buying their game now. If you have to assert that something is a great success, it probably isn't. Taking a shit on the entire PC gaming community is not something you wash yourself of with words. You won't learn until you're completely bankrupt and out of a job and embarrassed to say that you work there on your resumes. Activism has no place in gaming. We'll be emulating this as soon as possible just to put lewd mods on it. We'll tag you so that you can enjoy people. 447 ratings. There stars, then
I don't know. I mean, I think this was a fine video to like show what was happening. Like, I think this was a fine video to show what was happening. I don't know that there's really much. I don't know there's really much for me to add, right, to the conversation here from Vera. I think it's like just her kind of like showcasing what's going on. I think it's perfectly fine. But I don't know there's like a whole lot for me to actually add to this conversation here. So I think that I think we've had a really good just chatting session. I think everything's been pretty good. So I think I'm gonna put the music back on. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna use the bathroom, and then when I come back, we'll switch over. We'll switch YouTube channels, and we will get the stream up. We'll sit down. We'll play some games, and we'll relax and vibe. So if you guys have been here for just chatting, no, I appreciate you guys. We'll be switching over to the other YouTube channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the YouTube stream. We'll get up and use the bathroom, and then we come back. We'll do some gaming. So give me a second, guys. I will be right back. You were lurking. I appreciate you. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back.